Well, hi, everybody. This is Bob Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner, all set to bring you all the action from the jam-packed Polo grounds this afternoon as the New York Mets welcome back into New York the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, in just a very few moments, the entire Los Angeles Dodgers squad, the coaches and manager Walter Alston, will be presented to their standing room crowd at the Polo grounds. Right now would be a good time for you to check up on your supply of fine cool Rheingold. Rheingold Extra Dry. Yes, sir, put some Rheingold on ice. It can add a lot to your enjoyment of today's doubleheader. Now, here is a beer with a clean, clear taste, brisk and bright all the way through. Rheingold is beer as beer should taste. Dry tells you why. And say, right now would be a good time to light up a Viceroy. Viceroy's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. That's right. Now it's just about game time, so settle back with a tall, cold glass of Rheingold, and we'll check the starting lineup and the batting orders for the opening game. Right now, at home plate, our broadcasting colleague, Ralph Kiner, is introducing the entire Los Angeles Dodgers squad to the big crowd here at the Polo grounds. The Dodger batting order will have Maury Wills at short, leading off. Jim Gilliam will be at third, batting second. Willy Davis in center field, batting third. Tommy Davis will be in left field, batting fourth. Ron Fairley will be at first base, batting fifth. Frank Howard in right field, batting sixth. Johnny Roseboro behind the plate, hitting seventh. Larry Burright will be at second base, batting eighth. Pitching and batting ninth, the strikeout king from Brooklyn, Sandy Koufax. In right field and leading off for the New York Mets will be Joe Christopher. Julio Chacon will be at shortstop, batting second. Cliff Cook will be at third base, batting third. Frank Thomas in left field, batting cleanup. Gil Hodges will be at first base, hitting fifth. Jim Hickman in center field, batting sixth. Felix Mantilla will be at second base, hitting seventh. Sammy Taylor behind the plate, batting eighth. Pitching and batting ninth, right-hander Jay Hook. The umpiring assignment today, Ed Sudol works the plate in the opening game. Al Foreman will call the plays around first. Tom Gorman, the head of the umpiring team, will be stationed at second. And Big Bill Tchaikovsky will be calling the plays around third. Ed Sudol, Al Foreman, Tom Gorman, and Bill Tchaikovsky, the men in blue, for today's big Memorial Day doubleheader here at the Polo Grounds. And every seat is going to be taken. The Dodgers and the Giants coming into the Polo Grounds for 7 games in 5 days. We certainly hope you're planning to be a part of the excitement here at the Polo Grounds. We are continuing with the introduction of the Los Angeles Dodgers to the fans here at the Polo Grounds. In the opening game, Sandy Koufax will be on the mound for the Dodgers. Sandy has won 6 and lost 2 this year. His last time out, he struck out 16 and beating the Philadelphia Phillies to win his 16th game. And already this year, Sandy has struck out 100 men in 83 innings. Big ovation for Duke Snider as the Duke is introduced to the crowd. Tremendous ovation for Duke Snider as Duke gets his introduction and moves out on the third base line to take his place with his Dodger teammates. As yet, the coaches and manager Walter Alston have not been introduced, but now Ralph is introducing the coaches. Big hand now for Pete Reeser. Leo DeRosa. Following the introduction of the Dodgers squad, we will have a moment of silence in honor of our war dead, and then the playing of our national anthem. That completes the introduction of the Dodgers to the crowd here at the Polo Grounds. The Dodgers swept the series on the West Coast, but 2 of the 3 games were tense, bitter, and exciting ball games. As a matter of fact, now here are the Mets moving out to the field. New York Mets moving out to the playing field. Jay Hook moving to the mound. He'll be caught by Sammy Taylor. Jay lost a heartbreaker his last time out against the San Francisco Giants. That was the opener of the series in San Francisco. The game Felix Mantilla put the Mets in front in the 10th inning with a home run, only to have Willie Mays come back with his second home run of the game to win it for the Giants 7-6 in the last half of the 10th inning. A ball game that Jay pitched all the way. Jay Hook has been pitching real good baseball for the New York Mets. Hook and Miller for the last 3 weeks have been outstanding. Now the crowd here at the Polo Grounds is being asked to rise for a moment of silence on this Memorial Day and then our national anthem.
And now, our national anthem.
Now with the playing of our national anthem, we're all set for the flurry of the baseball excitement here at the Polo Grounds. Jay Hook throwing in his final warm-up tosses to Sammy Taylor. Setting up the New York Mets defensively, Gil Hodges playing first. Felix Mantilla at second. Elio Chacon at short, and Cliff Cook will be at third. In the outfield, Frank Thomas in left, Jim Hickman in center, and around and right, Joe Christopher. Hook on the mound, and Sammy Taylor behind the plate. And on this Memorial Day, San Francisco will be playing a doubleheader against the Phillies in Philadelphia. The St. Louis Cardinals and Pittsburgh Pirates play a single game at Pittsburgh. The Houston Colt 45s and Chicago Cubs have a single game at Wrigley Field, Chicago. The Cincinnati Reds and Milwaukee Braves play 2 games in Milwaukee. The Yankees have a noon game and a 9 o'clock tonight game against the Minnesota Twins in Minneapolis. The White Sox and Tigers play 2 in Detroit. Cleveland and the Orioles 2 in Baltimore. Washington and Kansas City 2 in Kansas City. The Red Sox and the Angels 2 on the West Coast. And now we are all set to get going as Maury Wills steps in to lead off in the game. Maury hitting at .239. He's off to a tremendous start in base stealing. Jay Hook out of his windup. The first pitch of the game. He runs up the bunt and misses. Strike 1. Maury Wills has already stolen 23 bases this year. Anytime he gets on, it creates A ballpark full of excitement. Cliff Cook in very close at third against the switch-hitting Maury Wills. The outfield not too deep, maybe a step toward right. The windup pitched by Hook. Inside and low, 1 ball, 1 strike. The Dodgers have stolen 50 bases in 46 ball games. The runner-up to Maury Wills in stolen bases is Willy Davis with 11. Next pitch to him, a ground ball base hit through the hole going into right field. Joe Christopher up with it, and Maury Wills is on, leading off on the doubleheader with a base hit to right. Now here's Jim Gilliam. A happy return to New York for Jim Gilliam and the other members of the Dodgers who have fond memories from their playing days at Ebbets Field. Gilliam hitting left-handed against Jay Hook. Leo DeRocher on the coaching lines at third, and Greg Malevy is coaching at first. Now throw to first by Jay. Wills, who usually comes back to the base head first, does so. Gilliam hitting at .267 with 17 RBIs. Now Hook delivers to the plate. Blazing fastball taken inside down around the knees. Gilliam laying off of it, now checks with Leo DeRocher. The Dodgers have won 16 of their last 20 ball games. They're a red-hot team. Today they are starting an 18-game road trip. They are riding an 8-game winning streak. Throw to first, and it's not in time. One ball and no strikes on Jim Gilliam. Now Jay up in pitching position. Hodges holding against Maury Wills. Here comes the pitch, and it's taken outside. He lays off of it. 2 balls and no strikes. Anytime Maury Wills is on base, it puts a lot of pressure on that pitcher to keep Wills close, to keep an eye on him, and at the same time, to get that pitch in the strike zone with something on it. Delivery. Gilliam takes it, and it's right in there for a call strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. Jay Hook, hard-throwing right-hander from Grays Lake, Illinois. Jay just 25 years old. And with Jay Hook, Bob Miller, and Al Jackson, the Mets feel they have 3 very fine young pitchers for a long time. Now Jay varying the things that he does on the mound to make it difficult for Maury Wills to read him. Two balls and a strike. Now Hook up in pitching position, makes the stop. Wills holding up the pitch. Ball 3, just out of the strike zone, and now the count goes 3-1. Let's check that. Umpire Ed Sudol says the count is 2-1. Scoreboard count says 3-1. Elio Chacon shaded a bit towards second. Cliff Cook playing even with the bag, wide of the line at third. Mantilla up a couple of steps on the right side of the infield. A throw to first, and it's not in time. There he goes. A high fly ball hit to short left field. Frank Thomas walking in to settle under this one. Makes the catch, 1 man down. Maury Wills was running, and now he comes back to first base. 1 man away. That'll bring up the flying Willy Davis. Willie hitting at .331. He's hit 6 home runs and knocked 17 runs in. Many people consider Willie the fastest man in the game today. Left-hand hitter. The left side of the infield will be pulling up a bit for him to allow for that speed. night game with the Dodgers tomorrow night. There are good seats available. Certainly hope you're planning to be on hand. The Giants are here Friday night, 2 games Saturday and Sunday afternoon. Willy Davis, tall, slender, left-hand hitter, stands upright, feet close together. Holds the bat straight up and down. There goes Maury Wells. A ground ball hit to second base. Mantilla has but one play. Over to Gil Hodges in time, getting Willy Davis. The Dodgers playing hit and run on the first pitch to Willie, and he bounces out. Now there are 2 away, and coming up to hit will be Tommy Davis. He had a hot bat against the New York Mets on the West Coast. Tommy hitting at .324, and he leads the Dodgers in the power department with 10 home runs and 45 runs batted in. Orlando Cepeda of the Giants leads the National League in RBIs with 49, and Tommy Davis is the runner-up with 45. Giants have 3 men in the top 5 and runs batted in. Pitch by Jay Hook. A pop-up outside first and foul ground. Gil Hodges moving over to the warning path. He's there, makes the catch. The Dodgers are out with no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on. The score in the middle of the first inning, the Los Angeles Dodgers nothing, and the New York Mets coming to bat. And now coming right up, jazz variations on a favorite tune.
My beer is Rheingold, a dry beer. Think of Rheingold whenever you buy beer. It's not bitter, not sweet. It's a dry flavor treat. Won't you try extra dry Rheingold beer? Won't you try extra dry Rheingold beer?
Like the song says, people everywhere sing out, my beer is Rheingold the dry beer. And dry tells you why. Yes, sir, dry tells you Rheingold has a brisk, bright, clean taste all its own. Discover the difference dry makes. Pour yourself a tall, refreshing glass of Rheingold Extra Dry. Enjoy it along with our doubleheader. Sandy Koufax on the mound for the Dodgers in the opener of the doubleheader. Johnny Padres will be pitching the nightcap against the New York Mets' Bob Miller. Sandy, of course, is striking out hitters at a faster pace than anybody in Major League history. Well, the wonderful fans here at the Polo Grounds wasting no time in trying to get some action going. Joe Christopher is stepping in to lead off against Sandy Koufax. Sandy has won 6, lost 2. His last time out, he struck out 16 as he went the route to beat the Philadelphia Phillies. Now Sandy has his sign, the windup and pitch to Christopher. In there at the knees, a call, strike 1. Setting up the Dodger defense, Ron Fairley at first, Larry Burride playing second, Maury Wells at short, and Jim Gilliam at third. Sandy out of his windup pitches. An off-speed delivery taken outside by Joe Christopher. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the outfield, Tommy Davis in left, Willy Davis in center, and Frank Howard is in right field. Colfax on the mound with Johnny Roseboro working behind the plate. Pitching 1-1. Off speed again outside. 2 balls and a strike. Last year, Sandy won 18, lost 13. This is his first appearance against the New York Mets. He has had 3 previous appearances at the Polo Grounds. Lost 1 game as a starter back in '56. A high infield pop fly. Jim Gilliam in behind the mound is under it waiting. And Gilliam takes it, retiring Joe Christopher. 1 away, nobody on. That brings up little Elio Chacon. One out, nobody on. Elio stepping in. Here's the windup. In comes the pitch to him. Inside, down around the knees, ball one. Elio was very concerned as to how he would be treated here at the Polo Grounds after his scrap with Willie Mays out in San Francisco. Willie being such a great favorite here, he's afraid the crowd might look with disfavor on it. But he got a very nice reception as he came up. 2 balls and no strikes. Now Elio checking with Sally Hemus. Sally coaching at third and Cookie Lavagetto coaching at first. Sandy Koufax winds and pitches. Blazing fastball popped a mile high in the air and fouled down the third baseline. Gilliam is waved off by Maury Wills, and it goes out of reach at the last moment just beyond the tarp and into the field boxes, no play. Cliff Cook waiting in the on-deck circle, and then Frank Thomas. Well, Walter Alston brings the red-hot Dodger ball club into the Polo Grounds. They've won 8 straight, 16 of their last 20, and yet they've been unable to close the gap on San Francisco. Curve is over, strike 3 call. Check that, strike 2, beg your pardon, 2-2. Even count 2-2 on Elio Chacon. Pitching 2-2. Inside and low, it's ball 3. Sandy really came into his own last year and posting 18 wins for the Dodgers. Not once but twice, Colfax has struck out 18 in one game. 3-2 delivery. A little bit outside, ball 4, and Chacon walks.
Batting in third position, number 6, third baseman, West Cook. Number 6.
Amazing but true about Sandy Koufax is the fact that 34 times during his brilliant career he has struck out 10 or more batters. He's done it 3 times already this season. Now Elio Chacon on first, Cliff Cook waiting. A smash through the hole, a base hit to left field. He hit a curveball. Chacon around second is going to try for third. Here's the throw coming in. The slide head first. He's safe. On to second goes Cook. Little Elio, a daring, dashing type ball player. When Tommy Davis, the left fielder, juggled the ball just for a moment, Chacon took off like a shot for third base. Davis fired towards third, and Elio left his feet and made a long head-first slide to get in there. And Cook goes to second base. We'll wait for the official scoring on the play. Frank Thomas coming up to hit with runners on second and third, 1 down. Ball wasn't really booted around by Tommy Davis. He just kind of juggled it just for a moment, and that was all Chacon needed. It will be scored as a hit and an error. Play scored 1-1, a base hit and an error, and they're going to put Thomas on. Frank Thomas will get the intentional pass, and that will bring up Gil Hodges. The Dodgers want to fill that open base at first and set up a possible double play. And also eliminate Frank Thomas, who is in the midst of a tremendous hot streak. Frank has hit safely in 17 straight ball games. Hit 13 home runs, knocked 30 runs in. Now Gil Hodges comes up with the bases loaded. Wonderful reception for Gil Hodges. Gil hitting at 304. He's done a remarkable job considering that he has had to play on a very sore knee. A knee that on some days really bothers him a lot, and there never is a day that it doesn't hurt him. Crowd really enthusiastic now. 3 runners take a lead. 1 man down. Last of the first, no score. Koufax winding. Here's the pitch. Ball 1. The overhand fastball outside and low. Hodges batting with Jim Hickman on deck. Koufax has his sign from Roseboro, the pitch. Curve outside and low, ball 2. 2-0. Sandy Koufax, a 7-year veteran at the age of 26, trying to pitch out of a jam here in the last half of the first inning. 2 balls and no strikes to Gil Hodges. Now Sandy into his windup. Here's the pitch. And the ball is popped high in the air to short left field. Infield fly ruling not invoked. Under the ball now, Maury Wills. He grabs it for the out. Elio Chacon just draws the throw and then scampers back to third. Ball carried deep enough into left field so that the infield fly ruling was not invoked. Now there are 2 away, and Jim Hickman comes up with the bases loaded. Jim hitting at .250. Jim hit a 3-run homer off Mike McCormick in the second game of the Sunday doubleheader in San Francisco. It was his 6th home run of the year. 25-year-old long-striding outfielder bats him right-handed. Dodger infield back deep and straight away. The pitch by Koufax. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Ed Sudol taking time to brush the plate off now. No score, bases loaded, 2 down, last half of the first inning. Sandy starts winding, now the pitch. Check swing and a foul ball hit him behind Cookie Lavagetto. No balls and 2 strikes down to Jim Hickman. So Jim Hickman has his work really cut out for him now, behind on Koufax, 2 strikes. Sandy winds and pitches. Just off the outside corner, a blazer. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Elio Chacon, the lead runner, on third. Cliff Cook on second, Frank Thomas on first. 2 walks and a base hit by Cook, loading the bases. Now Koufax working in front of Jim Hickman. Around comes the left arm, and it's bounced foul. He just got a piece of it to stay in there. The count remaining at 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jim Hickman came out of the St. Louis Cardinal organization in the expansion draft, 25-year-old outfielder from Henning, Tennessee. He has been a very pleasant development and surprise to the New York Mets. Pitching 1 and 2. Change up. He started to go, then held up just in time, and it breaks outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Off-speed curve thrown by Sandy Koufax. That change-up has been a great deal of help to Sandy Koufax, and he credits Norm Sherry with convincing him that he should go more with that change-up, and it's made a much better pitcher out of him. Count 2 and 2 on Jim Hickman. Chacon leading down from third. In comes the pitch. Foul ball, right straight back, no play. In the first game at Philadelphia today, it's Juan Marichal against Cal McClish. Giants nothing and the Phillies nothing at the end of 2.5 innings. They'll have a single game at Pittsburgh with Ray Washburn for the Cardinals and Earl Francis pitching for the Pirates. Pitching 2 and 2. Fouled again, right straight back. And Hickman in his duel against Sandy Koufax stays in there. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And now Johnny Roseboro goes about halfway out to the mound to see Sandy Koufax. With 1 out, Elio Chacon walked on 3 and 2. Cliff Cook then hit the first pitch, a curveball into left field for a base hit. When Tommy Davis juggled the ball for a moment and left, Elio Chacon went on to third, and Cook took second. They intentionally passed Frank Thomas. Then Koufax got Gil Hodges on a high fly to short left field. Two balls and 2 strikes to Jim Hickman. Koufax out of his windup. The pitch. A high fly that's going foul, hit down the left field line and into the seats. He had a real Polo ground stroke on that one. Pulled the ball up into the seats, but it was foul, probably by about 8 or 10 yards. And that one draws the excitement. Hickman has a real good stroke for the Polo ground. Beautiful sight to see today. You can't find an empty seat anywhere. Count remains at 2-2 on Jim Hickman. Koufax pacing himself and taking plenty of time between pitches. Now he winds. Here's the pitch. Outside, it's ball 3. Now something has to give. 3-2 to Jim Hickman. Bases loaded, 2 men down. Full count, 3-2. Everybody will be running. The runners start going. The full windup. Now the pitch. Fouled back into the screen. Colfax used a full windup, and by the time the ball was fouled back by Jim Hickman, Cliff Cook was practically on third. Elio Chacon, drifting back into foul territory to be out of the way of the pull hitter, was practically home. One of the great Dodger favorites of all time just came in to watch today's doubleheader, Roy Campanella. This time, Koufax will work off the stretch. Here's the pitch. Fouled again back into the screen as Hickman really wages a war against Andy Koufax. Well, it's nice to see Campy here for the big doubleheader. He'll enjoy renewing acquaintanceship with all of his old buddies on the Dodgers. Count remains 3-2. Bases loaded, 2 down. Hickman the batter. The runners lead. Here's the pitch. Struck him out, swinging. So Koufax wins the duel. He got him with a high hard one. And the Mets threatened but failed to score in their half of the first. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 error, and 3 left on. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 3 left on. So at the end of 1, the score, the Mets nothing and the Dodgers nothing. Well, on a day like that, we're certainly all mighty glad to have National League Baseball back in town. And, of course, the people at Liebman Breweries are as happy about bringing you the New York Mets on radio and TV as well. Well, we are about bringing you refreshing Rheingold on tap in cans and bottles. And New York is certainly taking to the Mets the way they've taken to Rheingold. You know, Rheingold is New York's largest selling beer year after year after year. And you've made it that way. What's the reason for such popularity? 2 little words tell you. Extra dry. They tell you that Rheingold is brewed the long, slow, costlier way for that clean, clear taste that is Rheingold's alone. So what do you say, fans? Why not join me in toasting New York's new favorite, the Mets, with a glass of Rheingold, the longtime favorite of New Yorkers and people everywhere. At the end of 5 innings at Metropolitan Stadium in the Twin Cities, the New York Yankees are leading the Minnesota Twins 5-1. Johnny Blanchard hit a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning. Bill Stafford pitching for the Yankees. Joe Bonakowski was the starter for the Twins, and lefty Jack Kralik relieved in the 6th inning. That's the only American League score to post right now. The only thing going in the National League right now, Giants nothing and the Phillies nothing after 2.5. Ron Fairley swings and misses on a curve, strike 1. Fairley wielding a hot bat. He sits safely in 10 straight ball games for the longest hitting streak by a Dodger this year. Fairley hitting at .320, hit .322 over the full season last year. Former Southern Cal star, a left-hand batter waiting. A high fly hit deep to left center. Back at full speed goes Hickman. Way back. It's over his head for an extra base hit. Back on the warning path in left center. Fairley around second, going to third. The relay by Chacon. He is in safely with a triple. long triple hit deep to left center field. The ball landed right on the edge of the warning path. Hickman, after a long run, found the ball just a little bit out of his reach. And Ron Fairley has led off here in the second with a 3-base hit. That brings up big Frank Howard. He's been on a batting rampage. He's now hiked that batting average to 317. But as you can imagine, the entire Dodger ball club has been hot. You don't win 16 out of 20 unless everybody does a lot. Hook into the windup. Now the pitch. A ground ball hit hard. A base hit beyond the reach of Elio Chacon. Fairley comes in to score, and Howard's on with a run-scoring base hit. So the Dodgers quickly have a run home on the 18th RBI of the year for Frank Howard. Nobody out. Frank Howard on first, and Johnny Roseboro coming up.
Number 8, catcher John Roseboro. Number 8.
Johnny Roseboro stepping in now to bat against Jay Hook. Roseboro hitting at 264. Frank Howard leading off first. Hodges back about a stride off the bag, quickly moves up for a pickoff play that brings Howard back. No throw was made by Jay Hook. Mets defense in the event of a bunt, and the pitch is outside, ball one. Leo DeRocher on the lines at third. Greg Mulleavy coaching at first. Now Hook up in pitching position. Checks the runner. The pitch thrown. A high fly hit deep to right center. It's a mile out there. Running hard is Hickman and Christopher. It's over their head and bounces up into the crowd. It bounces up into the crowd for a ground rule double. And that means Frank Howard will have to go back to third. The Mets got a good bounce on that one. Howard easily would have scored on the play. Oh, did he ever hit that? Over the head of Jim Hickman in right center, the ball landed on the warning path and bounced up into the center field bleachers. It is a ground rule double for Johnny Roseboro. He undoubtedly, had the ball not bounced into the crowd, would have had a triple, and a run would have scored. Ron Fairley and Johnny Roseboro have hit long, long drives, both reaching the warning path. First in left center and then in right center. Three hits in a row off Jay Hook. Dave Hillman given the sign now to start warming up for the New York Mets. The batter is the second baseman, Larry Burright, and he's hitting at 317. Infield playing at halfway. The pitch to Burright, a curve over, strike one call. Dave Hillman cranking up in the bullpen as the Dodgers tee off on Jay Hook here in the top of the second. Two booming 400-foot triples and a single by Howard sandwiched in between. Chopper off the plate, coming off the mound is Hook. He holds the runner at third. He throws to first in time. They've got Burright. One man away. Baltimore Chop with the ball hitting home plate and going high in the air. One man away, runners on second and third, and the hitter now will be Sandy Koufax. Sandy has 3 for 32 on the year. Hook made a good pitch on Burright. He had him fooled. Burright tried to check up and bounded the ball into the plate. Sandy batting right-handed. Mets have the infield in close now. Frank Howard on third. Johnny Roseboro on second. One down. Curve over, strike one call. Jay Hook going with that curveball, trying to pitch out of this jam in the top of the second. As Jay looks around before getting up on the pitching slab. Hook into his windup. The pitch to Colfax. Strike called. He slowed up on it, got the outside corner with it, and the count strike two. Jay will be reaching back for that little something extra, trying hard to strike out Colfax in this spot. Maury Wills is the on-deck batter. Winding and pitching. Inside and low, Koufax lays off of it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Giants got a run off Cal McClish in the top of the 4th inning to lead the Phillies 1-0 at the end of 3.5. Mets with the infield in tight. Howard on third. Roseboro on second. Now the pitch. Bounder hits slowly down the first baseline. When it rolls foul, they're letting it roll. Foul ball. Foul ball. That ball was off the plate and just trickled down the first baseline. Since Jay Hook had no chance at all to get Howard at the plate, he let the ball roll when he saw it might go foul, and it did. So the count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sandy Koufax. Here are the warm-ups at Milwaukee. Jim O'Toole for surging Cincinnati. And for the Milwaukee Braves, Ron Fouché. A 2-run homer by Dick Stewart in the first inning, and the Pirates lead the Cardinals 2-0 at the end of 1. Washburn against Francis. One ball and 2 strikes on Sandy Koufax. The Dodgers lead 1-0. Runners on second and third, 1 out. The pitch now to Koufax. Breaking ball taken up high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. They've gone 6.5 now in Minnesota, with the Yankees leading the Twins by a score of 6-1. Here's Hook into his windup. Pitch to Koufax. Bouncing ball slowly hit toward third. Cook grabs it, juggles the ball, throws to first in time. He had a play at the plate, but he couldn't get the ball out of his glove. He had to pick at it about 3 times. By the time he got it out of his glove, he lost his chance on Frank Howard. He then fired the ball to Gil Hodges in time, getting Koufax. So give Koufax an RBI on the play. Dodgers lead 2-0. Roseboro moving over to third, and Maury Wills comes up to hit. Cook wanted to make the play at the plate. Howard was running, but he couldn't get the ball out of his glove in time to make the throw. Now Maury Wills hitting with a runner on third, 2 men down. Maury singled to right field, leading off in the game. Dodgers 2 and the Mets nothing. Top half of the second. Jay into his windup, pitches. A little bit low, ball 1. Jay hurried his windup that time when he caught Roseboro streaking down the line from third. Dodgers with tremendous speed. Looks like the Dodger pitching in speed against the Giant power. Now the pitch on the way. Inside and low to Maury Wills. 2 balls and no strikes. Night game against the Dodgers tomorrow night. Giants come in Friday night. 2 games Saturday, single game Sunday. Maury, left-hand hitter, standing close to the plate, slightly open stance. The pitch by Hook. Ground ball hit down to first. Gil Hodges knocks it down. It'll be close at first. Out at first base. Hodges to Hook in time. That ball was hit hard into the midsection of Gil, but he recovered in time to flip to Jay Hook. Hook can run fast, and he had to get over there ahead of Maury Wills. In the second inning, the Dodgers get 2 runs. There were 3 hits. No errors as such, and 1 man left on. And now at the end of an inning and a half, the score of the Dodgers 2 and the Mets nothing. Well, tavern owners all over town have dusted off their welcome mats, given their glasses a little extra shine. Yes, sir, they're all set to welcome you during National Tavern Month with the same friendly hospitality they show all year round. Be sure now to drop into your neighborhood tavern soon. Plenty of relaxing atmosphere and always on tap. Plenty of cold, refreshing Rheingold Extra Dry. Rheingold is beer as beer should taste. And dry tells you why. It tells you that Rheingold is brewed the long, slow, costlier way for a taste that's brisk and bright and clean clear through. What better way to salute National Tavern Month then with a glass or two of Rheingold Extra Dry. Enjoy some today. Now, before Felix Mantilla comes out to bat in the last of the second, let's pause for station identification.
This is WGY, the General Electric Station, Schenectady. 810 on your radio dial.
Bottom half of the second inning now with Mantilla to lead off against Andy Koufax. Koufax pitched out of a tough jam in the last half of the first inning. Pitched to Felix, a foul ball back, strike one. Felix hitting at 301. The opener of that game out in San Francisco, the Saturday game, Willie Mays hit a home run in the eighth inning, tied the game 5-5. Then Felix came up with a home run into that strong wind to put the Mets in front 6-5, only to have Willie come back with a two-run homer in the last of the 10th inning to win it for the Giants. Outside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike. The last time Mantilla faced Dodger pitching, he had 4 for 4. The 1-1 pitch by Koufax, an off-speed delivery taken, ball 2, 2-1. Dodgers 2 runs on 4 hits, 1 error. New York Mets no runs, 1 hit, and no errors. Now Koufax with his sign winds and pitches to Mantilla, and it's a fly ball hit to left center field. Moving over, the left fielder, Tommy Davis, into the alley in left center. He makes the catch for the out. One away, nobody on. Sammy Taylor coming up. Jay Hook moves down to the on-deck circle. Sammy Taylor, left-hand hitter, facing Sandy Koufax. Fastball inside, 1 ball and no strike. Sammy hitting at 206. Feet wide apart. Chokes up just a little bit on the handle of the bat. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers starting on an 18-game trip as the New York Mets open their homestand. The 1-1 delivery. Blazer in there, strike 2 called. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Mets loaded the bases with 1 out in the first inning, but Sandy Koufax got Gil Hodges on a fly ball to short left field and then struck out Jim Hickman. Breaking ball over, strike 3 call. And that's the second strikeout for Koufax. 2 outs, nobody on. Jay Hook coming up. Now Jay Hook batting for the first time in the game. Jay hitting at 273. Oh, did he ever hum that one? A blazing fastball right in there for a call strike. Two outs, nobody on. The wind-up and pitch by Koufax. Strike 2, another fastball zipped right in there. He is really firing. Two-strike delivery. Strike 3 called. He went to a curveball and broke it over. Sandy Koufax looking as sharp as you can look. Gets Mantilla, Taylor, and Hook in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. And now at the end of 2, the score, the Dodgers 2 and the New York Mets, nothing. Night game with the Dodgers tomorrow night, and there are good seats available. We certainly hope you're planning to be here. Tickets are on sale, of course, at the advanced ticket window on 8th Avenue here at the Polo Grounds. They're also on sale at Grand Central Station at the 42nd and Vanderbilt ramp and the Long Island waiting room of the Penn Station. Remember, too, that for all home games here at the Polo Grounds, ticket reservations may be made at all Howard Clothes stores in the New York area. And if you find it even more convenient to purchase your tickets by mail, select any plan that you like, any number of games, any particular nights or days, and address your correspondence to Ticket Manager, the Polo Grounds, New York 39. Box seats are $3.50, reserve seats $2.50, include 25 cents for postage and handling. Of course, the Dodgers are here tomorrow night. That Alvin Dark brings the first place San Francisco Giants in on Friday night, 2 Saturday and 1 Sunday. That winds up the homestand. The Mets then will have a brief road trip. They'll be gone until June 15th. But on the 15th of June, they'll open a homestand here at the Polo Grounds. And the Chicago Cubs, the Milwaukee Braves, and the Houston Colt 45s will all be coming in. So be planning ahead now to catch the New York Mets in action right here at the Polo Grounds. Right now, we're going along to the third inning. Jim Gilliam is standing close by as Jay Hook throws in his warm-up tosses for the third. The Dodgers 2 and the Mets nothing. The third inning coming up, and coming up to detail every exciting play for you, Ralph Kiner.
Hey, Bob, you got a couple of tickets for some friends of mine here today?
Ralph, I think for the looks of things, they'll have to sit here in the booth with us.
Oh, there certainly isn't any seats. Well, it's a 2-0 game as we move through 2. Dodgers scored 2 in the second inning. Ron Fairley led off with a triple to left center field. He was scored by Frank Howard when he singled to left. Then John Roseboro moved Howard to third base with a long double, a ground rule double, the ball bouncing in the stand. And Koufax helped his cause when he brought Howard in from third when he grounded out to third. Junior Gilliam, the first batter here in the top of the third. Jay Hook, the pitcher. And his first pitch is a high slider that does not come down, ball 1. Gilliam batting for the second time, flat out to left field in the first inning. He brought a 267 average into New York City. Fastball that's fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodgers have an 8-game winning streak going, and they have won 16 of their last 20 ball games. Ironic part of it, the 4 games they lost in that 20-game span, all to the St. Louis Cardinals. The right-hander back with a change of pace that's outside, ball 2. 2 balls and 1. Dodgers trailed the league-leading San Francisco Giants by 1 1/2 games. Hook returns to the plate with a fastball, and again it's fouled straight back for strike 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gilliam leading off in the top of the third inning. He'll be followed by Willy Davis, then Tommy Davis. Jay Hook with a 2-2 pitch. Up a little bit too high, ball 3. So the count goes full on Junior Gilliam. It's a 2-0 game. Dodgers lead. Ed Sudol, the home plate umpire, setting behind Sammy Taylor. The 3-2 pitch to Gilliam is low, ball 4. That's the first walk issued by Jay Hook. And Gilliam gets first base free as he leads off here in the top of the third. And the batter coming on now, Willy Davis. Willy Davis grounded out to the second baseman. He is 0 for 1. Came in at .331. Left-handed batter. Playing in center field. Throw to first base, a lob throw, and Gilliam is back with no trouble. First pitch to Davis is lined to right field, but going foul into the lower outfield area, in the lower deck, but foul by about 20 feet. Willy Davis getting around in a curveball, pulling the ball too much. So Junior Gilliam, now known as Jim Gilliam, returns to first base, and it's a strike 1 count. In 1959, Tommy Davis, the on-deck batter, led the Pacific Coast League in hitting. Then Willy Davis followed the next year and led it. Next pitch to Davis as he squares around to beat out a bunt, but he takes for ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tommy Davis for Spokane hit .345 to lead the league in 1959. There's a drive deep to right. It could go all the way. Christopher back by the wall. He can't get to it. There it goes. Willy Davis with a long home run deep to right center field into the upper deck. And that's his 7th home run of the year, and he has driven in 2 runs with a home run, his 19th. So the Dodgers now out in front, 4-0. And Dave Hillman is up in the bullpen for the New York Mets. Now the batter, Tommy Davis. He's a right-handed batter, 0 for 1. And the first pitch is a high curve that goes over the top of his head, ball 1. Back to the plate, ball 2. So Jay Hook now trailing 4-0, falling behind Tommy Davis. 2 balls and no strikes. Tommy Davis batting .224 at the start of the ball game. He lives in Brooklyn. Next pitch to him is high. Actually, he has moved from Brooklyn. He lives in Compton, California. He was born in Brooklyn. A 3-0 pitch to Tommy Davis. He takes it automatically. Strike 1 call. The count now 3 balls and 1 strike. Still no one out. 2 runs are in. The score 4-0 in favor of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Jay Hook looking for his 4th win of the season. Comes back with a high slider that slides out of his hand, goes over the top of Davis's head. It's walk number 2. Tommy Davis getting first base. And the batter is Ron Fairley. Fairley tripled to deep left center. The score of the first run in the 2nd inning. And here comes manager Casey Stengel. Dave Hillman has been warming up in the bullpen for the Mets. He was up in the last inning when the Dodgers scored 2. He's also been up since Davis's home run here in this inning. And there's the sign. Casey Stengel with a hook to Jay Hook, taking him out of the ball game. It'll be Dave Hillman coming in. So officially, Jay Hook worked 2 innings. He gave up all 4 of the runs in the ball game, allowing 5 hits. He struck out none, and he walked 2. He is, at this moment, the pitcher of record. Well, don't forget, the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers will be playing here in a night game tomorrow night. Then it will be the San Francisco Giants moving in to the Polo Grounds for a night game Friday night, a doubleheader on Saturday, and, of course, a single game on Sunday. 4 big games with the Giants. And it looks as though Roger Craig, who was involved with the Giants in that good Donnybrook out in San Francisco, will be the starting pitcher in the Friday night game. You can purchase tickets to all these games at 3 locations downtown. Polo Grounds, Grand Central Station, over on the Vanderbilt Ramp side, Pennsylvania Station, and the Long Island Rating Room. You can also make ticket reservations at all the Howard clothing stores throughout the New York area. Bob, what have you got in the scores?
At the end of 2.5, Ralph, Pittsburgh leading the Cardinals 2-0 on Dick Stewart's 2-run homer. That's Washburn against Francis. Cincinnati and Milwaukee, no score at the end of 1. O'Toole against Boucher in their first game. Roy Sievers homered in the 5th inning off Juan Marichal to tie up the Giant-Philly game at 1-1 at the end of 5. Here are the warm-ups of Chicago. Dean Stone, a left-hander for the Colt 45s, and rookie Cal Kuntz, a right-hander for the Chicago Cubs. In the American League, They are being held up because of rain now at the end of 7 in Minnesota, with the Yankees leading the Minnesota Twins 6-1. Bill Stafford for the Yankees. Kralik relieved Bonikowski. Johnny Blanchard hit a 2-run homer. Nothing yet on Washington at Kansas City. Here are the warm-ups at Detroit for the White Sox, Johnny Bazard, and for the Detroit Tigers, Phil Regan. They're underway in Baltimore. Cleveland nothing, the Orioles nothing. Pedro Ramos pitching for Cleveland, and Chuck Estrada on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles. The remaining action in the American League, the Red Sox meet the Los Angeles Angels on the West Coast, and that, of course, will be much later in the day. For the Yankees, they are playing a noon game, which has gone 7, with the Yankees in front 6-1, now being delayed because of rain, and they will play a game that starts at 9 o'clock tonight in New York. So that's the complete rundown on the scores of other games, and right here with our pitching change made, Dave Hillman just about warmed up and ready to go, and all set to follow the action along for you again, Ralph Kiner.
Well, Jay Hook, who had pitched complete games in his last 2 starts, losing 3-2 at Houston and 7-4 in 10 innings at San Francisco, is now out. He's the pitcher on record. And in the ball game, Dave Hillman. Dave, a right-hander, is making his 10th appearance of the year, his 8th for the New York Ball Club. He has worked a total of 12 1/3 innings, and he has a record of no wins and no losses. And his first man will be Ron Fairley. He goes to first base to move Tommy Davis back there. No one out. A runner at first. The score 4-0 in favor of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Curveball to Ron Fairley that's just too low. Ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Sammy Taylor, the catcher, thought he had that one. It's Gil Hodges at first. At second base, Felix Mantilla. The shortstop, Eliu Chacon. The third baseman, Cliff Cook. The outfield, Thomas, Hickman, and Christopher left to right. Now Hillman back with the 1-0 pitch. It's swung on and fouled back, straight back of home plate for strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hillman with a high fastball. Hillman was obtained from Syracuse after being sent there after trial by the Cincinnati Reds in spring training. He's back with a fastball. It's down the line. It could be in the stands. It's over by the wall, and it's a home run. Ron Fairley with the so-called proverbial Chinese home run that dropped into the upper deck right near the foul line, and the Dodgers lead 6-0. Tommy Davis scoring in front of him. Charge one of the runs to Jay Hook. He's charged now with 5. The other to Dave Hillman. And the batter now, Frank Howard. Curveball to Frank Howard, catching on the outside corner, strike 1. That's Ron Fairley's first home run of the year. He now has 17 runs batted in. Howard with a drive to right center. Christopher going deep there. It's way back, and he makes the catch right on the warning track. Frank Howard chasing Joe Christopher right into the warning track, about 2 steps from the wall and deep right center. And that's out number 1. Well, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have actually won their ball games this year on speed and not much power, showing plenty here today in the Polo Grounds. They have had 2 home runs, a triple, and a ground rule double. And the batter now is John Roseboro. First pitch to him, a curve that's in the dirt, ball 1. Roseboro, his first time up, doubled into the deepest area in the ballpark, and the ball bounced on the warning track into the stands for a ground rule double. Left-handed batter, and Hillman comes back with a curve. Swung on and missed, strike 1. Well, there's only been 1 ball hit into the center field stands here at the Polo Grounds in regular season play, and that was by Joe Adcock. Curve high, ball 2. But if there is one person who might be able to do it, it's Frank Howard right here with the Los Angeles Ball Club, and possibly another, Orlando Cepeda. Both those boys with tremendous power to center field. And, of course, they'll be playing here throughout this weekend. Hillman with a curve that's low, ball 3. 3 balls and 1 strike. It's a 6-0 game, top of the 3rd inning. One pitch to Roseboro, grounded down to Hodges. He takes it, will go all the way, makes the tag at first base himself for out number 2. 2 men down now, and the batter is Larry Burright. The Dodgers went out in front in the 2nd inning when Fairley and Howard scored. Now have added 4 more here in the top of the 3rd. Larry Burright, a right-handed batter, takes a curve. It's in the dirt for ball 1. Burright came in the ball game hitting .317. He is 0 for 1. Rookie second baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tries to check his swing, but goes too far. It's strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dave Hillman on the mound for the Mets in relief of Jay Hook. Next pitch to Burright, lined into center field. A base hit. Coming over to field the ball, Joe Christopher. And now the Dodgers have a man on first base with 2 outs and the batter is Sandy Koufax. 7th base hit in the ball game. The second one given up by Dave Hillman. The Mets played 3 games with the Dodgers prior to this one. 2 of them decided in the 8th inning. The other was, of course, the rout. Sandy Koufax didn't participate in any of those 3 games. This is his first start. He's a right-handed batter. First start against the Mets. He is 0 for 1, but he has driven in 1 of the 6 runs. Curveball, it's in the dirt, dug out by Sammy Taylor. Nice play. Holding at first base, Larry Burright. 2 men down as Hillman goes into the stretch. He throws to first base, and Burright dives back in. He's safe. Back to the plate, a called strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hillman catching with a fastball, knee high in the outside corner. Sandy Koufax brought a .094 batting average into the ball game. He has had 3 hits this year, 32 times at bat. Pitch to him, swung on and missed, strike 2. So the count now, 1 ball, 2 strikes. One and 2 to Sandy Koufax. And the pitch is taken outside, ball 2. 2 and 2 with 2 outs. Dave Hillman on the mound looking for his first victory. He has not lost one so far this year. And he returns to the plate with a runner starting to go and holding, and he gets him on a strikeout for strike 3. So that retires the side. That's the first strikeout by Dave Hillman and in the ball game. And in the top of the 3rd inning, the Dodgers score 4 runs on 2 hits. There were no errors. 1 man left in the score at the end at 2 1/2 innings of play. The Los Angeles Dodgers 6, the New York Mets nothing. You know, going through the rule book the other day, we took up a Rheingold riddle for all you baseball fans. Now, you may know that when a base runner is hit by a batted ball, the batter automatically gets credit for a hit, and the runner, of course, is automatically out. But who gets credit for the put-out? Think about that one. Well, if you know your baseball, you may have known that the fielder nearest the runner gets the credit for the put-out. And if you know your beer, you'll surely know this. Two little words, extra dry, tell you why Rheingold has a taste no other beer can match. They tell you that Rheingold is brewed the long, slow, costlier way for a taste that's brisk and bright and clean, clear through. But why not find that out for yourself? Enjoy a cool, refreshing glass of Rheingold Extra Dry today, right along with the game. And now, while we have time before the bottom of the third starts, we pause for station identification.
This is WGY, the General Electric Station, Schenectady, 810 on your radio dial.
Sandy Koufax to Joe Christopher, and his first pitch is swung on a miss, strike one. Bottom of the third with the Mets needing 6 to tie. Joe Christopher, batting for the second time, popped up to the third baseman, Jim Gilliam, in the first inning. He is 0 for 1. Fastball that's fouled away. Strike two. Koufax, who started slowly in the first inning and worked the 6 batters, getting Jim Hickman on the strikeout after he had hit a foul home run with the bases loaded. In the second, he worked through it, 1, 2, 3 with 2 strikeouts. A big curveball that's down low. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Koufax has the biggest and best curveball, I believe, in the major league. Also has a fine fastball to go along. There's a curve, but that one hung high. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. His curveball a lot like Max Lanier's curveball, and Max pitched back in the early 40s for the St. Louis Cardinals. Right off the top. It rolls right off the table. Last year, Koufax struck out 269 batters. Fastball drilled to left field. This will move Tommy Davis deep to left field, but he has room, and he makes the catch. That ball hit deep away from the wall and straight away left field for out number 1. So 1 is down, and Elio Show comes in. Elio Chacon. Elio walked in the first inning. Got as far as third base on an error by Tommy Davis in left field. Right-handed batter playing shortstop. First pitch to him, a fastball that's low inside, ball 1. Now Ed Sudol asks to take a look at the ball, and he throws it out. Colfax last year, with his 269 strikeouts, broke a record set back in 1903 by Christy Matthews for strikeouts in a season. One 1-0 pitch to Chacon, lined in the center field, a base hit. Elio going to first base, rounds deep there and holds as Willy Davis comes up with the ball. That is hit number 2 off Sandy Koufax, and Chacon is safe at first base with 1 out, and the batter is Cliff Cook. Cliff singled to left field his first time up. He came in at 2:08. Right-handed batter playing third base. It's a 6-0 game. Dodgers at the end of 2 1/2 innings of play. Chacon not being held on. The first pitch to Cook is swung on a miss. Strike 1. Colfax in his last outing struck out 16 Philadelphia Philly batters. Fastball, it's fouled away, and the count will go to 0-2. So far through the season, Sandy has pitched 84 and 1/3 innings, and in that time, he has struck out 102 batters. He is the only pitcher in Major League history to have averaged more than 9 strikeouts a game. throughout a career. Next pitch is low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. In his first ball game, his first major league start, he struck out 14 batters. And he did all that on strictly a fastball. Cliff Cook swings at his next pitch, and it's popped up and going foul out of play. Strange thing about Koufax, last year was the first year that Koufax ever won a ball game in April. Curveball swung on, bouncing in the dirt. Runner holding there. It's strike 3. That ball bounced just about on home plate. That curve snapped right off and right on down. So it's strikeout number 4 by Sandy Koufax. Out number 2, and the batter's Frank Thomas. Thomas was given an intentional walk in the first inning, which loaded the bases up. The Mets had runners at second and third at the time. So he is still batting .335, which was his average at the start of the game. Koufax to Thomas with a high fastball, ball 1. Thomas has hit safely in his last 17 games. Over that period, he hit at a .386 clip. Had 5 home runs, 3 doubles, and 2 triples. Strike call as Koufax comes in down around the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kiner, along with Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson from the Polo Grounds in the first game of 2 here in Memorial Day, and the first of a 3-game series with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Curveball swung on a miss by Thomas. Roseboro catching the ball, moving out towards first base as though to throw there. Chacon on first with 2 outs. Dodgers with 2 runs in the second, 4 in the third, lead it 6-0. There's a good curve, but just inside. Ball 2. And Colfax thinks that he had that one. He comes off the mound, walks halfway into Ed Sudol. Now Sudol with his mask off. Look out. Walking out in front of home plate. Now he's back, and the mask goes on, so everything is all right. Well, when that mask comes off, you got to get careful. They leave it on. You're not in too much trouble. 2-2 pitch to Thomas. A change-up that's just too high. Ball 3. So the count is full. Chacon at first base will be going with 2 men out. And the score of the ball game, 6-0 in favor of the Los Angeles Dodgers. The first shift that we know about, and possibly not the first of all time, but in modern days, was put on against Ted Williams by Lou Boudreau when he was the manager of the Cleveland Indians. And they used the reverse of this shift, leaving the left side open and covering on the right. Williams, the left-handed batter. 3-2 pitch. A curveball, got him looking. Strike 3. And that's strikeout number 5. Oh, that was a big curve that rolled right off the table. So at the end of 3. After the Mets have no runs on 1 hit, there were no errors, and they left 1 on to score. The Los Angeles Dodgers 6 on 7 hits. The Mets, no runs on 2. Well, plenty of action coming your way. Another game here today, and just in case you're nearby, you could drop in. I think you could squeeze in here somewhere, but plenty of excitement coming off. You know, you can mail in for tickets throughout the season, a special convenience here. All you have to do is be sure to tell how many tickets you want and the type. Box seats at $3.50, reserve seats $2.50. Send a check or money order and include an additional 25 cents to handle the mailing charges. And mail to Ticket Manager, Polo Grounds, 39, New York. Be sure to specify the date and to specify the number of tickets you want and covered with the price and an additional 25 cents. Plenty of baseball action coming your way. The Mets here with the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, and then after a short trip, they come back on June 15th. Well, at the top of the fourth inning, the score is 6-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Then the first pitch by Dave Hellman, the pitcher, is hit on the ground through the hole in the right field by Maury Wills. Coming up with the ball is Joe Christopher, and Wills comes up with his second base hit. He now has 2 for 3. The major league leader in stolen bases at first base, and the batter is Jim Gilliam. Batting left-handed, he's a switch hitter. Batting from the left side against the right-hander. Hillman with his first pitch. It's outside, low, ball 1. Dodgers now with 8 base hits in the ball game. They go along with their 6 runs. Gilliam has walked and flied out to left field. He also has scored a run. Throw to first base. Wills dives back in, but he is there way before the tag. Gil Hodges holding. Wills had stolen 18 consecutive bases before the Mets broke his streak in Los Angeles. He goes now. The pitch is outside. Taylor's throw is off of the shoulder of Wills in the center field. It'll go as a stolen base, and Wills holds at second. Maury Wills now with his 24th stolen base. And he had quite a jump and beat the throw at second by quite a margin. Now warming up in the bullpen for the Mets, Bob Moorhead. Junior Gilliam with a count of 1 ball and no strikes. Make that 2 balls and no strikes. And with Maury Wills out at second base. No one out in the top of the fourth. The score is 6-0 Dodgers. Dave Hillman looking at Wills, now returns to the plate. It's lined down the right field line. A base hit off of the wall, bouncing into Joe Christopher's hands. He can't make a play home as he picks the ball up and holds Gilliam at first base. Score of the ball game now, 7-0, as Gilliam picks up his first run batted in. Hit number 9, and the score now 7-0, as Bob Moorhead continues to throw in the bullpen for New York. The batter, Willy Davis, who has a 2-run home run to his credit and 2 times up. Willie with his 7th home run of the season, a left-handed batter, playing in center field. No one out. Gilliam at first base. Dave Hillman to the mound with a curveball. It's hit down through the hole in the right field, a base hit. Gilliam going to third base. Does not draw a throw as Christopher comes in with the ball. And Willy Davis gets his second base hit. That's 3 in a row here in the top of the fourth inning. And it brings manager Casey Stengel out of the dugout. Willy Davis came into the ball game batting .331. He has picked up 2 hits and 3 times up, so that will certainly aid to his batting average. At the start of today's action, Orlando Cepeda was the National League leading hitter, followed by Bill Williams of the Chicago Cubs. Over in the American League, Manny Jimenez with the Kansas City Ball Club, formerly a Milwaukee player, was way on top. He was up around 398. So we're going to have a change in pitchers as Casey Stengel uses the hook for the second time. It'll be Bob Moorhead. Hillman officially pitched 1 inning. He came in relief of Jay Hook after Hook had given up a walk, a home run, and a walk at the start of the third. Hillman allowed a home run to Ron Fairley, which scored 2 runs, one of the runs being charged to Jay Hook, and then he got the side out. Here in the top of the fourth, Maury Wills led off with a single. Stoltz second, scored when Gilliam lined a single off the base of the wall by the foul line. And then Willy Davis moved Jim Gilliam to third with a single. So Hillman in 1 complete inning gave up 5 hits, allowed 2 runs, struck out 2 and walked none. Bob, what have you got in the scores?
3.5 now, Ralph. Pittsburgh leading St. Louis 2-0 on Dick Stewart's 2-run homer. That's Washburn against Francis. Cincinnati scored 2 off Ron Pache in the top of the second. The Reds lead the Milwaukee Braves 2-0. That's the first game of their Memorial Day doubleheader. They have gone 6 innings in Philadelphia. The Giants and Phillies tied up 1-1. Mound duel between Juan Marichal and Cal McClish. Roy Sievers homered in the 5th to tie up the game. They're underway at Wrigley Field. The Colt 45s did not score against Cal Kuntz in the first. Dean Stone pitching for Houston. In the American League, they're in the 9th inning now at Minneapolis with the Yankees leading the Minnesota Twins 6-1. Bill Stafford hurling for the Yankees. Miranda on in relief now in the 9th inning. Johnny Blanchard hit a 2-run homer. It'll be Washington playing at Kansas City. Chicago at Detroit in a doubleheader. Bazard in the first game for the White Sox against Phil Regan. Cleveland playing at Baltimore. And in the 3rd inning, Pedro Ramos and Al Leplo have hit home runs. That Cleveland ball club is really hitting home runs. So the Indians have moved out in front by at least 3-0 in the 3rd inning at Baltimore with home runs off Chuck Estrada, one by Ramos, the other by Al Leplo. In the other action in the American League, it'll be Boston playing at Los Angeles in a doubleheader on the West Coast. So that's the complete rundown on our scoreboard. Right here, Bob Moorhead, the big blonde right-hander from Lemoyne, Pennsylvania, has been called in by Casey Stengel to try and cool off the red-hot Dodger bats. And as play resumes, here again is Ralph.
Thank you, Bob. And the batter will be Tommy Davis. Bob Moorhead, a right-hander, will be making his 13th appearance. And he, too, has no record, no wins and no losses. Throw to first base, and Willy Davis dives back in. Moorhead has pitched 32 innings, giving up 33 hits, allowing 24 runs, 18 of those earned. His first pitch to Tommy Davis is low outside, ball 1. Bob Moorhead, the 3rd pitcher used in the game by manager Casey Stengel. Jay Hook worked the first 2, then Dave Hillman. Now Bob. The right-hander back to the plate, a bouncing ball back to the mound. Moorhead goes to second, now to first, but the throw pulls Hodges off the bag and a run scores. Junior Gilliam coming in from third base, and the score of the ball game now 8-0. Felix Mantilla, in throwing to first base, pulled Hodges off the bag, which allowed Tommy Davis, a fast man, to get in. No error in the play, and the run is earned. So Tommy Davis, who leads the club in runs batted in, has picked up his 46. He's second in the National League to Cepeda. And the score is 8-0, and the batter is Ron Fairley. Curveball to Fairley is fouled down in the dirt, strike 1. Fairley hit his first Major League home run of the 1962 season in the 3rd inning. He also has a triple to go along. He's had a perfect day, 2 for 2. Now Now Moorhead back to the left-handed batter with a curveball that drops over, letter high, strike two. No balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Score 8-0, Dodgers. The 2-strike pitch to Fairley is inside, a ball. Fairley started to go in the curve and then held up. The ball breaking off of the plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tommy Davis at first base. Moorhead now tossing over to first base, but Davis gets back. The 1-2 pitch to Fairley. Swung on and grounded down in the dirt again. So the count will stay at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And while we have time, we pause for station identification.
This is WGY, the General Electric Station, Schenectady, 810 on your radio dial. Music and sports. Temperature.
Ralph Kiner along with Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson from the Polo Grounds. The score of the ball game 8-0 in favor of the Dodgers. And they're batting here in the top of the 4th. 1-2 pitch is low, ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. This is the longest batting streak of the season for any Dodger. And during the stretch, he was 18 for 31. And he has raised his average from 136 to 320. The 2-2 pitch to Fairley. Line in the center field, a base hit. Tommy Davis going to second now, moves over to third base as Hickman comes up with the ball and throws to Mantilla at second. That puts runners at first and third with 1 out. And the batter is Frank Howard. Boy, this is a big man. He's bigger than Cliff Hartung was, and he was large. First pitch to Frank. Line into left center field. Base hit as Hickman goes over, falls down. Going into third base is Ron Fairley. Now Howard going for second. Now Fairley continues on home, and 2 runs score. Tommy Davis scoring from third base, and Fairley all the way from first as Howard hits one to left center field. That'll go as a 2-base hit. It's 10-0, and the batter is John Roseboro. 1 out, and Frank Howard out at second. Roseboro, left-handed batter, waiting now as Moorhead returns to the plate. He hits the next pitch down to the second baseman, Mantilla. Mantilla to first base for out number 2, and moving over to third, Frank Howard. So 2 are down now, and the batter is Larry Burright. Larry singled to center field and 2 times up today. Playing at second base, a right-handed batter. And the first pitch to him is a called strike. A slider over on the outside corner, letter high. Dodgers with 2 in the second, 4 in the third, and 4 here in the top of the 4th. Fastball at too low, ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now Moorhead back with a 1-1 pitch. A swing and a foul tip into the catcher's glove. Strike 2. For the ball game, the atmosphere here at the ballpark, just like a World Series. They had movie cameras, photographers, writers from all over. And manager Walt Alston saying, this certainly reminds me of 1959. 1-2 pitch is called, strike 3. So Moorhead strikes out Burright, got him looking to retire the side. In the inning for the Los Angeles Dodgers, 4 runs on 5 hits. There were no errors. 1 man left in the score at the end of 3 in 1/2 innings of play. The Los Angeles Dodgers 10, the New York Mets nothing.
We will continue this game.
Moving to the bottom half of the 4th inning with the Dodgers leading 10-0. And coming up to bat, Gil Hodges. Gil Hodges, who picks up a great hand wherever he plays, now in the batter's box. The ovations for Gil out in Los Angeles when he made his first appearance for the first time out of a Dodger uniform ever was certainly heartwarming. There's a strike called as Koufax comes back on the 1-0 count. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 pitch to Gill is hit high in the air right down the left field line. Watching there is Tommy Davis. It's going to be a home run if it's fair. It's called a home run. Hodges crossing home plate with his 367th home run, and that one was on top of the roof, right on top of the foul pole. And now arguing at third base, Jim Gilliam and shortstop Roy Wills, and Sandy Koufax coming over to take a look right down the foul line. The tough part about the decision on that one is that the ball was in fair territory as it went down the line, and the wind blowing towards left field curved it to where it hit on the roof. It was in foul territory. But as it went by the foul line pole, it was decided that the ball was a fair ball. The third base umpire, Bill Jakowski, signaling a home run for Gil Hodges. So the game now 10-1 in favor of the Dodgers. And Gil now with 367 Major League home runs. That's his 6th of the season. And now the batter is Jim Hickman, and he takes low for ball 1. Colfax back, a hard smash by Gilliam at third base into left field. Hickman rounding at first base, now going for 2. The throw by Tommy Davis offline, and Hickman has a stand-up double. Two hits in a row, and the New York Met fans here, some 40-some thousand, finally getting a chance to cheer. And that's what they came out here for. And as you can tell right now, they're getting a good chance. Here's Felix Mantilla. He takes low, ball 1. Charlie Neal has just come in from the clubhouse in center field, which means he has returned from Longview, Texas, attending the funeral of his uncle, who is very close to him. So Charlie Neal is now available for action. Line drive to left field, a base hit. Tommy Davis there takes it on the first bounce, fires in to Wills, and holding at first base, Mantilla. And a throw to first base gets by fairly. Going from third now, Jim Hickman, and going to second base, Mantilla. That'll be an error charged to Maury Wills. No run batted in as the runner had held up at third. And then after the throw got by at first base, as Wills tried to get Mantilla after he rounded there, after the throw had gotten by fairly, Hickman came in from third. So 2 runs are in, and we're going to have a pinch hitter. For Sammy Taylor, the catcher, it'll be Harry Chitty. Score of the ball game now, 10-2. Willie Chitty, a pinch hitter for the catcher, Sammy Taylor. And the first pitch to him is a fastball called a strike at the knee. Harry batting .333, has 8 hits and 24 times at the plate. Right-handed batter and a catcher in the squad. Now Koufax with a 1-strike pitch. It's outside, ball 1. Vinegar Ben Mizell warming up in the bullpen for the Mets. The on-deck batter is the pitcher, Bob Moorhead. A 1-1 pitch to Harry, swung on, foul tip off the glove of John Roseboro. To the count now, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Felix Mantilla out at second base. There's no one out. The Mets now with 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning. Now the left-hander back to Chitty with a curve that just misses up high. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Colfax back to the plate. A fastball swung on and missed. So Chitty goes down swinging for strikeout number 6 by Sandy Koufax. 1 man is now out, and we'll see who they're going to send up. It's going to be Bob Moorhead to bat for himself. And sitting down now, out in the bullpen for the Mets, Vinegar Ben Mizell. So Bob Moorhead batting for himself. He's a right-handed batter. Sandy Koufax to Bob Moorhead. It's a fastball called strike 1. Koufax has won 6 so far this year, losing only 2. This is his first start against the Mets. Curveball that breaks right over the heart of the plate. Strike 2. Big curve. No balls and 2 strikes to Bob Moorhead. Mantilla out at second base and 1 out. And a pitch back to the plate, a fastball that's fouled away. So the count will stay at 0-2. Mets with 2 runs in here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Now the left-hander back with a curveball, swung on and missed, strike 3. So Moorhead goes down. He's the 7th strikeout victim of Sandy Koufax, and the batter now, Joe Christopher. Joe, his last time up, fly deep to left field. He also has popped up the third, 0 for 2. His drive to left, chasing Tommy Davis, all the way back on the warning track in deep, deep left field. Christopher playing in right field, bats from the right-hand side. 2 men down now to score 10-2 Dodgers. And the first pitch to Christopher, a big curveball. Strike 1 call. Boy, this fella really rolls it off the top. Now Colfax looking at his runner. Back to the plate with a curve. It's in the center field, a base hit. Mantilla rounding third. Will score. The throw comes into second base. The ball game now 10-3. Now with 3 runs in on 4 base hits. One of them a home run by Gil Hodges. And the batter is Helio Chacon. Helio singled to left center field in the 3rd inning. He is 1 for 1. He also has a walk to go along, a right-handed batter. Christopher at first base not being held on. And the first pitch to Chacon, a fastball. It's inside. Ball one. Now Koufax back to the plate with a low fastball. Ball two. And John Roseboro now walking halfway out to talk to Sandy Koufax. Koufax comes in, meets him halfway. The count now 2 balls and no strikes to Ilya Chacon with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. And the next pitch is high. Ball 3. No action in the bullpen for the Dodgers. They lead by 7. But the Mets with a rally going in the 4th inning. The 3-0 pitch to Chacon. A fastball that's through strike 1. So the count now 3 balls and 1 strike. The on-deck batter is Cliff Cook. Chacon now looking twice for the sign. The hitter takes sign from Salahimas. Ilya Chacon, a runner at first, and the 3-1 pitch is strike 2. Chacon taking all the way as a full count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Joe Christopher at first base will be moving on the pitch. Now Fairley comes in to hold him on. Colfax looks at first, goes to the plate. Christopher runs. The ball is hit into center field, a base hit. Christopher going over to third base on the play. The throw comes in to Burright at second. So now the runners are at first and third, and that brings out Walt Alston. That's now with 3 runs in the inning. Picked up 5 base hits off of Sandy Koufax. And Walt Alston now talking to Sandy Koufax on the mound. And Ed Roebuck is up in the bullpen for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Walt Alston yesterday said he thought he had the best team he's had in quite some time this year in the Dodgers. He figures the San Francisco Giants to be tough, also the Cincinnati Reds. But he feels his team can go all the way during the 1962 season. Now Alston going back to the dugout. He's affectionately known as Smokey Alston. Was a first baseman in the minor leagues for many, many years. He was at bat 1 time in the major leagues, and he was struck out by Lon Warneke. Walt Alston. Now we're all set to go. Cliff Cook is the batter. The pitcher is Sandy Koufax. The Mets with runners at first and third, and the first pitch to Cook is popped up high in the air. Wills at shortstop is signaling for the ball, and he makes the catch to retire the side. In the inning, the New York Mets pick up 3 big runs. On 5 hits, there were no errors. 2 men left in the score. Correction, 1 error in the inning, and the score. The Los Angeles Dodgers, 10 runs on 12 hits. The New York Mets, 3 runs on 7. And now as we move along to the top of the 5th inning, once again to tell you all about it, and I guess we've got a pretty good seat in this full house, is Bob Murphy.
Thank you very much, Ralph. And now it is a 10-3 ball game. The Mets breaking through against Sandy Koufax, and they hit Koufax hard. Walter Alston, after making a trip to the mound and staying out there about as long as he could to give Roebuck time to get ready. But Sandy got Cliff Cook on a high pop fly to retire the side, and now the warm-up action subsides in the Dodger bullpen. We move along to the 5th inning, and for the Dodgers, they will have Sandy Koufax coming out to lead off. 8 men came up for the New York Mets in the fourth inning as they scored 3 runs on 5 hits with 1 error and 2 left on. Harry Cheedy batted for Sammy Taylor, and now Harry stays in the game to catch Bob Moorhead. At the end of 5 1/2, Pittsburgh leading the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1. At the end of 3 1/2, the Cincinnati Reds lead the Milwaukee Braves 3-1. They're in the 9th inning in the first game in Philadelphia, with the Giants leading the Phillies by a score of 3-1. Houston 4, the Cubs nothing at the end of 2 1/2. Now Sandy Koufax leading off against Bob Moorhead in the top of the 5th inning. Sandy hitting for the 3rd time. He's 0 for 2. Moorhead right in there for a call, strike 1. The day game at Minneapolis, the Yankees on a 7-hitter by Bill Stafford beat the Minnesota Twins 10-1. Outside and low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Yankees breaking out, got 10 runs on 16 base hits, including a 2-run homer by Johnny Blanchard. Tigers 2 and the White Sox nothing at the end of 2. Cleveland 3, the Orioles nothing after 4 1/2. Pitch to Koufax, a ground ball past the mound to his right, Mantilla. Felix up with it, takes to Hodges in time. Koufax is out. 1 away, nobody on. Now in the top of the 5th inning, and the hitter will be Maury Wills, the shortstop and leadoff batter. Maury has been up 3 times, singled twice to right field. And in the 4th inning, he stole second, his 24th stolen base. So here's Maury Wills, who has stolen 24 bases, and the season is only about a 1/4 of the way along. Bob Moorhead, 3rd pitcher used today by Casey. Winds and pitches. Inside at the knees, 1 ball and no strikes. Now Moorhead cranking up. The pitch to Maury Wills. A drive in the air to right field. Running back is Joe Christopher. He can't get it. It's beyond him and rolling back to the deepest point in right center field. Watch this one. It may try to go all the way. Maury Wills is being waved around third. He's going to come in to score standing up without a throw. An inside the park home run. Hit a hard line drive. Christopher running back into right center tried to catch the line drive by cutting over on it. Couldn't reach it, and the ball then rolled to the deep point in right center beyond the bullpen. Maury Wills, who really flies, came in easily, standing up with an inside the park homer. By the time Christopher could fire the ball back to Mantilla for a relay, he had no play. So the Dodgers lead 11-3, and the hitter is Jim Gilliam. Inside and low, it's ball 1. That's the 3rd home run in the game for the Dodgers. Next pitch to Gilliam. A swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gilliam has flied to left, drawn a walk, and singled to right, and Jim has scored 2 runs. Maury Wills now is 3 for 4. The 1-1 pitch. Taken high by Gilliam, 2 balls and a strike. It's one of the few inside the park home runs I've ever seen where you could almost tell they had no chance at all to get him. 2-1 pitch. Right in there, a call strike, 2-2 on Jim Gilliam. Dodgers now have 3 hits, 3 runs off Bob Moorhead. They have a total of 11 runs, 13 hits in the game. Gilliam contailing the bat around. In comes the pitch by Moorhead. A foul ball off the fist. Back toward the screen. No play. Sensational crowd here at the Polo Grounds. Every seat taken, and around the top of the upper deck and out in center field, up behind the bleachers, many are standing. Bob Moorhead pitching 2-2. Breaking ball taken inside and low by Jim Gilliam, and the string is out 3-2. Well, I don't know where you could possibly find a greater reception than the Mets have received. Mets coming home off an 8-game losing streak and not a seat to be found on the Polo grounds. The Dodgers have hit 3 home runs. Willy Davis, Ron Fairley, and Maury Wills connecting. And Gil Hodges connected for the New York Mets. Gil now has 367. He's only 2 behind Ralph Kiner in the all-time home run derby. When he passes Kiner, he will have hit more home runs than any right-hander of National League history. Inside, it's ball 4, and Gilliam walks. Jim Gilliam walks on 3-2. That brings up Willy Davis. Willie has grounded out second to first, belted a long 2-run homer in the upper deck in right center, and singled to right field, 2 for 3. Willy Davis off to a great start. Ground ball past the pitcher towards second. Mantilla goes over, flips to Chacon, Forrest at second base. Close play at second. Mantilla had to go to his right on a rather slow grounder. And when he got to it, all he could do was just flip it in the same motion to Elio Chacon, and they forced Jim Gilliam. Now there are 2 away, and the hitter is the cleanup batter, Tommy Davis. Tommy has fouled out to Hodges, drawn a walk and scored a run, reached on a fielder's choice but knocked in a run, and then scored again. 11-3, Dodgers leading. We're in the top of the 5th inning. There goes the runner, a swing and a miss. The peg by Chidi, the slide. He is safe at second with a stolen base. Willy Davis steals second. Second stolen base in the game for the Dodgers. They've stolen 52 bases in 47 games. Willy Davis is the runner-up on the Dodgers to Maury Wills, and that for Willie is his 12th stolen base of the year. 1 strike count on Tommy Davis. Willy Davis on second with 2 men down. 1 run in the 5th inning, and that was on the inside the park home run to right center by Maury Wills. There goes Willie to third, a ground smash up the middle for a base hit. Tommy Davis singles to center. That scores Willy Davis, and the Dodgers now go in front 12-3. Willy Davis was running on the pitch. He broke for third, but Tommy singles to center, and he could virtually slow up to a trot, rounding third and coming in. So Tommy Davis has his second RBI of the game. That gives him 47 for the year. He's the runner-up to Orlando Cepeda. The Dodgers, a sizzling hot ball club. They have hit each of the 3 pitchers that Casey has had in the game. Ron Fairley, the batter, and he pops one up to short right field. Mantilla gliding into shallow right, turns around and makes the catch. The side is out. In the 5th inning, the Dodgers add 2 more runs on 2 hits. No errors, 1 left on. So we've come halfway at the end of 4.5 innings. The score now, it's the Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 3. Now we'll have a change for the Dodgers. Andy Carey will rest Jim Gilliam at third. Gilliam was 1 for 2. Through 2 walks. Jim was on 3 times out of 4. Andy Carey now playing third in the last of the 5th inning. And the batter is Frank Thomas. Frank drew an intentional walk to load the bases with 1 down in the first. He then took a called third strike in the 3rd inning after hitting several real shots that were foul. Koufax winds and pitches. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball. Sandy Koufax with that blazing fastball, and he has a great curveball. Koufax has walked 2, struck out 7. Allowed 3 runs, 7 hits. Now Sandy winding. Here's his pitch on the way. Another curve, and it's over. Strike. Gil Hodges on deck, and then Jim Hickman. Mets broke through against Koufax for 5 hits in the 4th inning. A check swing, slow grounder. Racing for it is Andy Carey. He's up with it, throws on to Fairley in time, and Thomas is out. Thomas didn't mean to hit that one. He was trying to hold up. But Andy Carey cut across the edge of the infield grass, going to his left to throw him out. Gil Hodges coming up. Gil hit one down the left field line and way up high for a home run in the fourth inning. Gil now has 1 for 2. That was his 6th home run of the season. Despite the fact that Gil has been held to part-time action with an ailing knee. Ball 1. Knee is very sore. It bothers him a lot. It's hard for him to stride properly, but nonetheless, Gil has stayed over that 300 mark. Koufax out of his wind-up. The pitch, fastball in there for a call strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Last of the 5th inning, Dodgers 12 and the Mets 3. Now Sandy Koufax winds and pitches a ground ball hit toward the hole. Carey cuts it off, going to his left. Now throws in time, and Gil is out. Now before Jim Hickman comes up to hit, let's pause for station identification.
This is WGY, the General Electric station, Schenectady, 810 on your radio dial.
Bob Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner from the Polo Grounds, last half of the 5th inning. Jim Hickman laced a double to left field his last time up. A fly ball high in the air, not too deep to right center. Willy Davis calling for it in right center, and Willie has it to retire the side. So the Mets are out in order in their half of the 5th inning with no runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. And now 5 innings complete. The score of the Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 3. Now it's the 6th inning at the Polo Grounds. Rod Keneal will replace Gil Hodges at first base for the remainder of the ball game. Gil, of course, playing on a very sore knee, and the Mets trailing by 9 runs. Casey wants to give Gil a chance to rest the remainder of the game, hoping perhaps to be able to play him in the second game. Frank Howard leading off against Bob Moorhead of the 6th inning. Howard has really ripped the ball. 2 for 3. The only time they got him out, he hit a line drive to right field. He's big enough to go bear hunting with a buggy whip. Here's the wind-up pitch to him. Plays are in there for a call, strike 1. Howard was mired in a batting slump about 2 weeks ago, but he came out of it. And since he came out of it, he has been getting a rash of hits in just about every game. Moorhead's pitch to him is a breaking ball outside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Howard came into the game hitting at .317, and he's 2 for 3. Bob Moorhead's 1-1 pitch to Howard. A swing and a miss. He really gave that one the big sweeping swing. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Dodgers have lacked for anything. With all the talent that they have assembled, it has been for right-hand home run power. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Bob Moorhead fans Frank Howard. A lot of baseball men think that one of these days Frank Howard will break out and hit a lot of home runs. 1 out and nobody on now in the 6th inning. The batter is Johnny Roseboro. Johnny doubled to right center field in the second with a tremendous drive. Ball that landed on the warning path in deep right center and bounced up into the crowd, something you might see about once a year. Ground ball slashed to short. Chacon to his right, plants his spikes. The long peg in time to Rod Keneal. 2 up and 2 set aside by Bob Moorhead. I don't know where you're going to find any flashier play than Elio Chacon has given the New York Mets. Elio, a young ball player with tremendous desire. Casey feels that he's going to develop into a real good one. Outside and low to Larry Burright, the rookie second baseman. 1 ball and no strikes. Burright has 1 for 3, single to right center field in the 3rd inning. Pitch by Moorhead. A line drive knocked down by Keneal. He picks it up. Nobody there to cover. And so Burright is on. Moorhead undoubtedly thought the ball was going into right field for a base hit and didn't break off the mound to cover. Keneal left the ground, jumped high, knocked it down with his first baseman's mitt, picked it up, and had no one to throw to. Whether he could have thrown him out or not is problematical. It'll be an error charge to Rod Keneal on the play. We'll double-check the scoring. It actually has not been officially posted, and so let's hold off. It is an error on the play, charged to Keneal. Sandy Koufax up, starts after it, then holds up. It's a strike. Ball actually fooled Keneal a little bit. It was not quite as high as he thought it was going to be. It was hit hard by Burright. A throw to first, and not in time. Rod Keneal has been a real handyman for the New York Mets. He's played every position in the infield and also been in the outfield. A throw to first. He sprawls back head first safely. Swing and a miss. Strike two to Sandy Koufax. Sandy 0 for 3 has grounded out third to first, been struck out, and grounded out second to first. Dodgers 12 runs on 14 hits. The New York Mets 3 runs on 7 hits. Bob Moorhead working in relief. The 2-strike pitch. Strike 3. He got him. Koufax knew it. Sandy started after it, and then he held up. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 1 left on. And now at the end of 5 1/2, the score, the Los Angeles Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 3.
If your filter cigarette is tasting too strong, don't you sometimes wonder if your brand is wrong?
Well, Viceroy tastes the way you'd like a filtered cigarette to taste. Not too strong.
Not too light. Viceroy's got
The taste that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Norm Sherry takes over behind the plate, replacing Johnny Roseboro as the game goes down to the last half of the 6th inning. Walter Alston making his second change in the game. In the 5th inning, he put Andy Carey in to relieve Jim Gilliam. Vinegar Ben Mizell continues to warm up in the bullpen for the New York Mets. The Mets will have the tail end of their batting order coming up. Here in the last of the 6th inning with Felix Mantilla leading off against Sandy Koufax. Sandy's pitch on the way is inside, ball 1. Felix got a base hit his last time up. Mantilla has been over the 300 mark just about all year long. Now Sandy has his sign from Sherry, the windup and pitch. A drive in the air to left field. It's fairly deep. Back goes Tommy Davis. He has room and makes the catch on the warning path. Ball was well hit by Mantilla, and Davis back on the warning path right in front of the left field wall grabbed it. 1 out and nobody on. That'll bring up Harry Cheedy for his second time at bat. Harry came up to hit for Sandy Taylor in the 4th inning and was fanned by Koufax. Blazer right in there, calls strike 1. Next pitch by Koufax, foul tip. He just got a piece of that one on the count, strike 2. Nobody on. Last half of the 6th inning. Dodgers leading 12-3. Curve is fouled into the plate and coming back out of play over toward the Dodger dugout. So the count stays at strike 2 on Harry Cheedy. Koufax winding, the pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. He got him with a breaking ball, and that for Sandy Koufax is his 8th strikeout of the game. So Sandy now is taking dead aim on 10 or more in the game, which he has already accomplished 3 times this year. Bob Moorhead coming out to hit. This will be the second time up for Bob. He was struck out in the 4th inning by Koufax. A high pop foul. Norm Sherry flipping the mask to the side, trailing back toward the Dodger dugout under it. He has it for the out. Side retired in the last half of the 6th inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. Very strong inning for Koufax. After giving up 5 hits in the 4th inning, he has come back to set down 7 straight hitters. And now at the end of 6, the score, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 3. And now coming on to follow all the action for you the remainder of the way, a man who always gives you a good call of a ball game, Lindsey Nelson.
Thanks very much, Bob Murphy. We'll be going here to the top half of the 7th inning. And while we're waiting for action to resume, here's a sports bulletin at Indianapolis today. Roger Ward won the Indianapolis 500. That's the second time that Roger Ward has won, and he set a new time record today. He won in 1959 also. He took the lead from Parnelli Jones shortly after the 300-mile mark and went on to win. Roger Ward is the winner of the famed Indianapolis 500. In the top half of the 7th inning here, the Los Angeles Dodgers will have the head of the batting order up. Maury Wills, Andy Carey, and Willy Davis. Defensively, the New York Mets now have Rod Kenneal at first base, Felix Mantilla at second, Elio Chacon at short, and Cliff Cook at third. Frank Thomas in left, Jim Hickman in center, Joe Christopher in right. Harry Cheedy is the catcher, and Bob Moorhead is the pitcher. And here is Maury Wills, switch hitter, batting left. And the pitch is in there for a called strike. Wills has 3 base hits today. He's 3 for 4. Pitch is low for ball. 1-1 to count to Maury Wills. The Dodgers are leading here by a score of 12-3. Swinging a ground ball to the right side, taken by Mantilla. He plays up to Kenneal in time, and he's out. 1 away, and Andy Carey is coming up. This is Carey's first time up. He was brought on here to relieve Jim Gilliam. Carey, of course, very familiar to New York baseball fans. He played a lot of years at third base for the New York Yankees. Bob Moorhead is the 3rd pitcher of the day, and this first game of a doubleheader for the New York Mets. Pitch goes high for a ball. Pitch is in there for a called strike to Andy Carey. This afternoon, in case you have joined us along the way, the New York Mets loaded up the bases in the bottom half of the 1st inning, but could not manage to push across a run. So the Dodgers came on to the top of the 2nd and got 2, and then the Dodgers were off to the races. They got 4 in the top of the 3rd, and they added 4 more in the top of the 4th to make it 10 runs. But the Mets battled back, and in the bottom half of the 4th inning, the Mets pushed across 3 runs. The Dodgers coming right back in the top of the 5th to get 2 more to make it 12-3, and that's where we stand right now. The Dodgers have 14 hits, and the Mets have 7 up to right now. Andy Carey, a right-hand batter, at the plate. Bob Moorhead looking in for a sign from Harry Cheedy. Wyanton fires and has a swing and a fly ball to right field. Joe Christopher will have a long run. He's still coming over near the line, and he cannot hold it. It's a fair ball. Going to second is Andy Carey. The ball is fired in, and holding at second is Carey. Christopher had the long run. He did get a glove on it at the line, but could not hang on. as it dropped in, and Andy Carey pulled up at second base. It is a base hit. It is scored as a double for Andy Carey. It would have been a tremendous catch if Christopher had managed to pull it off because he had the long run on the right-hand batter. The ball was right down the line, was touched in fair territory. And that will bring up Willy Davis. Davis is 2 for 4. He's had a home run and a single, and he's driven in 3 runs here today. Coming up now with a runner at second base and 1 man out. Here's the pitch to Davis. It goes high for a ball. Greg Malevy is coaching at first for the Dodgers, and Leo DeRocher is in the coaching box at third for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The very place where he stood the afternoon he was managing the New York Giants and saw Bobby Thompson hit that home run in 1951 into the lower deck of the left field stands to win the pennant for his Giants. And if you recall, Eddie Stanky left the bench and went right down and jumped right up on top of him as he stood there and rode him all the way to the plate. Here's a swing and a fly ball to left. Frank Thomas with the sunglasses down moves over. Takes it. No advance by Carey at second base. Willie Davis reached out there and punched that one to left. 2 away, runner at second, and Tommy Davis coming up. And seeing DeRocher there in the coaching box at third reminds us, of course, that the old-timers game will be held at the Polo Grounds on July 14th. Players of the old Giants and Brooklyn Dodgers who participated in that dramatic pennant playoff in 1951 are being invited. Bobby Thompson has accepted. Ralph Branca has accepted. Leo will be here because the Mets play the Dodgers that day. Duke Snyder will be here. Of course, Gil Hodges will be here. They'll play a 2-inning game before the regular game, July 14th. Mark that one on your calendar. There's a pitch to Tommy Davis. It goes high for a ball. This is the longest winning streak that the Dodgers have ever had since they left Brooklyn and went to Los Angeles. This is popped up to the right side. Felix Mantilla going out into short right field, shading his eyes with the glove, waits for it to come down and takes it to the out. That retires the side. So in the top of the 7th, the Dodgers got no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And at the end of 6 1/2 innings of play at the Polo Grounds in New York, the score is the Los Angeles Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 3. Well, folks, the Mets may be New York's brand new team, but they've got a few famous New York names going for them, as you know. New York baseball fans certainly are familiar with many of the well-known names from the past, such as Gil Hodges. And what about Rheingold beer? Now, there's a famous New York name, Rheingold, the largest selling beer in town, year after year after year. Why is Rheingold so popular? Because it's more refreshing, naturally. And why is it more naturally refreshing? Because it's dry. That's right. Dry tells you why Rheingold has a taste all its own. It tells you that Rheingold is brewed the long, slow, costly way to taste brisk and bright and clean clear through. Why not try a glass of Rheingold along with the game and see that there is a difference you can really taste. You'll join the millions who already say, my beer is Rheingold, the dry beer. And now, in order to allow our stations to identify themselves, we pause now for station identification.
This is WGY, the General Electric station, Schenectady 810 on your radio dial.
79. This is Lindsey Nelson with Ralph Kiner and Bob Murphy at the Polo Grounds, where the Mets are coming up in the bottom half of the 7th inning, leading off at the top of the batting order, right-hand batter Joe Christopher. Sandy Koufax winds and fires, and the pitch is low for a ball. Koufax, the strikeout king of the National League, has 8 strikeouts to his credit thus far in the 6 innings that he has worked. Pitch is high for a ball. After the Dodgers scored 10 runs, when the Mets pushed across 3 and had a couple of runners on in the bottom half of the 4th, manager Walter Austin came out to the mound to talk to Colfax, and he had Ed Roebuck throwing in the bullpen at that time. Here's a pitch in there for a call strike to Christopher. It's 2-1. Christopher singled a drive and a run in the bottom half of the 4th. Otherwise, he's 0 for 2. He makes him 1 for 3 for the day. Swinging a drive, going into left field for a base hit. Christopher gets his second hit. Down on one knee, Tommy Davis comes up with the ball, relays it in. And Christopher is on at first with a sharp single to left field. Elio Chacon coming up. He's been up 3 times. He's been on base all 3 times. He walked me single twice. Now, umpire Ed Tudall asked Koufax to let him see the ball. And Tudall walks about halfway to the mound to receive the toss. Going to throw that one out and gives another ball out there to Sandy Koufax. This crowd came to enjoy the baseball game, and as you can hear, they are enjoying it. The Dodgers lead by a score of 12-3, but there's noise and enthusiasm aplenty here. Pitches inside for ball. It's in there for a call strike. Chacon watched it over. He choked up on that bat just the least little bit. Cliff Cook now moves into the on-deck circle, kneeling there. It's 2-1 now. The count to Elio Chacon. That pitch is taken high for a ball. 3 balls and 1 strike now to Elio Chacon as he turned and walked out of the batter's box. Looks down to Salahimas, the coach at third. See what he's doing on the 3-1. He had him taken on 3-1 up here once before. Elio's got a good eye. It's in there for a call strike. He had him taken again. It's 3-2 now. Nobody out, and Joe Christopher is the base runner at first. So once again, there's action in the bullpen for the Los Angeles Dodgers. With a 12-3 lead. Roebuck up and throwing. The pitch is high, ball 4. He walked in. Christopher was running on the pitch. Chacon has been on base 4 straight times today. That is the 3rd walk issued by Koufax. First baseman Ron Fairley walking over to the mound to talk to Sandy Koufax as Cliff Cook comes around, ready to step into the batter's box. Cook single in the first inning, struck out and popped to short. He is 1 for 3. Murray Wills at short is coming to the mound also. Roebuck is up and throwing in the bullpen for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Norm Sherry, the catcher, turns and looks into the dugout where manager Walter Alston is standing hands on hips at the corner of the dugout. The oldest manager in the National League in point of continuous service with 1 ball club. All right, there's nobody out for the Mets. Cook steps in, steps out, steps back in. Left-hander Sandy Koufax. Looking in to get a sign from catcher Norm Sherry. Runners leading. Here's the pitch, and it's low for a ball. Sherry calls time. Walks out toward the mound. Andy Carey, the 3rd baseman, comes into the mound again to check with pitcher Sandy Koufax. Giving up a single to Christopher and a walk to Elio Chacon. Taking the mask off now, umpire Ed Tudall says, let's break it up, fellas, and get back to the ball game. This is the first game of a doubleheader scheduled here at the Polo Grounds on this Memorial Day. One ball and no strikes to count to Cook. The crowd is alive here at the Polo Grounds in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Pitch is a fastball blazed in there and taken for call strike 1. It's 1-1. Frank Thomas is in the on-deck circle for the New York Mets. There's a swing and a fly ball to left field. Willy Davis, the center fielder, moves over. Tommy moves over. Both have called. Tommy waves him off and takes it down. No advance. First, Willy Davis called, and then Tommy waved him off and took it himself out in front of the bullpen. Cook had flied to left, 1 away. Runners holding at first and second, and Frank Thomas coming up. Mike walked, struck out, and grounded out. Nothing for 2 and a walk. Thomas facing lefty Sandy Koufax. Swing and a foul ball coming back. Norm Sherry is giving it a run, hoping for a play. He gets back to the barrier, but doesn't have one. It's off the screen. Coach Leo DeRocher of the Los Angeles Dodgers up on the top step of the dugout, observing the field of play. Coach Salahimas of the New York Mets leaves the coaching lines at third. Move out a step or two and yell something to Joe Christopher, his base runner at second. Elio Chacon is the base runner at first. Plenty of speed on the bases for the New York Mets here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Strike 1 count to Frank Thomas. We want a hit is the cry that's going up from the fans here at the Polo ground. Thomas swings and fouls it down past Salahimas coaching at third, and Sally wisely waves at that one as it passes by. Not the sort of a smash to take barehanded. 2-strike count now. Bob Miller is scheduled to go for the Mets in the second game today, and Johnny Padres is scheduled to pitch for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Thomas takes it high. He took the stride, but didn't unleash the bat. It's 1-2. Roebuck continues to throw in the bullpen for the Dodgers. All is quiet in the Met bullpen at this time. With 1 away, the Mets have runners at first and second. Colfax is pitched to Thomas. Swung on as a drive down the left field line. And it is going 1 hop to the wall. 1 run has scored. Chacon is at third. He is held up there. Thomas pulls up at second base. Frank Thomas with a drive down the left field line. He keeps his consecutive game hitting streak alive at 18 straight games now. Frank Thomas has hit safely in 18 consecutive games. He blasted that one down the line to drive in a run. That will bring up Rod Keneal. Makes the score 12-4. Runners at second and third. 1 man out, and Keneal is coming up for his first time in this game. He came in to relieve Gil Hodges. Hodges, of course, is troubled by a knee condition. And with the Mets trailing in the ball game, Keneal was inserted to relieve him at first base. Keneal watches high for a ball. This is a rookie who played his way onto the squad at spring training in St. Petersburg, and then came on to swinging a foul ball. We started to say Keneal came on to set an amazing record as a pinch runner, bringing in the tying run and the winning run on numerous occasions. Came to be regarded as something of a lucky piece for the New York Mets. One and one is the count to Keneal at the plate, as the right-hand batter faces left-hander Sandy Koufax. Action is stopped in the Dodger bullpen as Roebuck watches the action at the plate. Here's a swing and a foul ball. Back onto the screen. It's 1-2 now. Jim Hickman is on deck for the Mets. The Mets hang in there, battling back here. They pushed across 1 run in the bottom half of the 7th inning. He is called out on strike. Keneal watched it over. Strikeout number 9 for Sandy Koufax. Runners holding at second and third. And Jim Hickman, right-hand batter, is coming up. Swing and a miss. Colfax came into today's ball game leading the majors in strikeouts with 183 innings. And he has, coming into the ball game, 1,052 strikeouts and 1,031 lifetime National League innings. Here's a pitch in there for a called strike. The 18 consecutive game hitting streak by Frank Thomas is the longest in the National League this year. Kurt Flood of the St. Louis Cardinals hit safely in 17 consecutive games. There's a swing, and the ball is popped up out in front of the plate. Now Norm Sherry chases it over into foul territory, backed up by Koufax, and Norm Sherry makes the catch of the foul pop-off to batter Hickman to retire the side. In the bottom half of the seventh inning, the New York Mets got 1 run on 2 hits. There were no errors and 2 men left. And at the end of 7 full innings of play at the Polo Grounds, the score is the Los Angeles Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 4. So now we'll take a look at scores of other games. At the end of 8 innings of play in Pittsburgh, Pirates still lead the St. Louis Cardinals 3-1. Earl Francis started. He's still going in there for Pittsburgh. Ray Washburn started for the Cards. Ed Baroda in the 5th and Don Peresi in the 7th. Dick Stewart homered in the first inning with 1 on. The end of 5 innings in Milwaukee. The Reds and the Braves are tied 3-3. O'Toole against Pichet. Robinson homered in the 2nd with 1 on for Cincinnati. Frank Robinson. In Philadelphia, going to the bottom of the 10th, the Giants and the Phillies are still tied 3-3. Juan Marichal for San Francisco. For the Phils, Sal McLeish started. Boston in the 9th, Short in the 10th. Severs homered for Philadelphia and Davenport homered for the Giants. That's the first of 2. And a single game in Chicago at the end of 3 innings. The Cubs 4 and the Houston Colt 45s 4. Stone, Witt in the 3rd for Houston. Kuntz, Anderson in the 4th for Chicago. Malfitano homered in the 3rd with 1 on for the Houston Colt 45s. In the American League at the end of 3 1/2, Detroit Tigers 2 and the Chicago White Sox nothing. Bazard against Reagan. And here's a final score. Cleveland defeated Baltimore 7-0. Pedro Ramos pitched the shutout. Estrada was the loser. Ramos had 2 home runs in the ball game himself. We're going now to the top half of the 8th inning, and Ron Fairley is up to lead off for the Dodgers. Moorhead pitches inside for a ball. In a morning game, the Yankees defeated the Minnesota Twins 10-1. Bill Stafford the winner. He went all the way, and Bonikowski was the loser. Blanchard homered in the 3rd with 1 on for the Yanks. The pitch to Fairley. Check swing, foul ball. It's 1-1. In Kansas City, the Washington Senators got 4 runs in the top half of the first inning. Kansas City now coming to bat in the bottom of the first. Osteen started against Rocco. Pfister in the first inning for the A's. Retzer homered in the 1st with 2 on for the Senators. And Boston is on the coast to play the Angels a doubleheader. So that's the way things are going elsewhere. Change of speed, and there's a ground ball to the right side. Taken by Camille. He makes the play unassisted to get Fairley. What a day Fairley's had. He's had a single, a triple, and a home run, but was out on the ground ball that time. Frank Howard coming up. He's had a single and a double and driven in 3 runs in 4 trips. The score here, the Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 4. That pitch is high for a ball. Jay Hook was the starting pitcher for the New York Mets and is the pitcher of record. Bob Miller is scheduled to be the pitcher in the 2nd game. Swinging a foul ball right down into the dirt off the bat of Frank Howard. Nobody on for the Dodgers. Moorhead's pitch swung on. It's a ground ball going up the middle and through for a base hit. Jim Hickman charging, comes up with it, barehanded. Hickman turns and holds it first with, or rather Howard turns and holds it first with his 3rd base hit of the day. And coming up now is Norm Sherry, coming up the first time. Sherry came on to relieve the starting catcher, John Roseboro. Norm Sherry, half of the brother battery of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Larry and Norm Sherry. Moorhead now working from a stretch position as Howard leads at first. Keneal holds him on, swinging a ground ball foul. Pulled down past Leo DeRocher, coaching at third. DeRocher turns, looks around the crowd here at the Polo Grounds. He's a familiar sight down there in the coaching line. Spent lots of time right there during his baseball career. Pitch goes high for ball. It's 1-1. Dodgers have 16 hits, and the Mets have 9 up to right now. In case you've joined us along the way, the New York Mets saw Gil Hodges get a home run this afternoon, the 367th of his major league career. Pitch is high for a ball. And the New York Mets are the only team in the majors who have not been shut out this season. It has been the character of the ball club that it does not die regardless of what the odds may be. They're trailing now by a score of 12-4, but they've been battling right along. Swung on and foul off the bat of Sherry and into the stands, down back a third foul ball. The count is 2-2 to catcher Norm Sherry, with second baseman Larry Burright on deck. This one is fouled off to the right side. So the count holds at 2-2 to Norm Sherry. Charlie Neal was not here at the start of today's ball game. He was called from San Francisco to his home in Longview, Texas, by the death of his uncle, who actually reared him. So Charlie went to Longview for the funeral and arrived here after the start of the ball game. He is dressed and is now in the Met dugout. Swinging a foul ball. Count holds at 2-2 to Norm Sherry. Catcher Harry Cheedy walks out in front of the plate to fire the ball back to Bob Moorhead. These same two teams meet here tomorrow night. Game time 8 p.m. We'll be on the air as usual at 7:55 p.m. New York time. As a fly ball punched out into center field, and Jim Hickman makes the run in. He's underneath waiting. He takes it, and Frank Howard, halfway on the fly ball to center, returns to the bag at first. 2 men out. And Larry Burright's coming up. He is 1 for 4. He's been on base twice today. We're in the top of the 8th of the first game of today's Memorial Day doubleheader at the Polo Grounds. There'll be another doubleheader here on Saturday afternoon. It'll be the San Francisco Giants in here for that one. Pitch is in there for a called strike. Not in time. There is something about the turnout of a large crowd like this which enhances the ball game itself. Here's a swing and a miss. 2-strike count before the ball game. Some of the Los Angeles Dodgers were looking around, and newspaper photographers were around, newsreel cameramen were around, newspaper reporters. The stands were filled, and they said for all the world it looked like the opening game of the World Series. 0-2 the count to Larry Burright at the plate. Which is outside for a ball. He is taken for called strike 3. Started the swing, tried to check it. It's a strikeout for Bob Moorhead. And in the top half of the 8th inning, the Los Angeles Dodgers got no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And at the end of 7 1/2 innings of play at the Polo Grounds in New York, the score is the Los Angeles Dodgers 12 and the New York Mets 4. Now a message from Rheingold Extra Dry, told completely with music. We'll be moving along now to the bottom half of the 8th inning of this first game of the day's doubleheader, and coming in here to take you the rest of the way, once again, Ralph Kiner.
Thank you, Lindsey Nelson. And on the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers as they lead 12-4 is Sandy Koufax. And Sandy right now has struck out 9 batters. He has given up 9 hits and allowed only 4 runs. And he'll be pitching to Felix Mantier. The first pitch is hit on the ground down to the third baseman, Andy Carey. Andy up and over to first base, out number 1. Sandy Koufax has struck out 10 or more batters in 34 games in his career. He's done it 3 times this year. So he needs 1 more strikeout to run that total up to 35 games. Now the batter in the batter's box is Harry Cheedy. Harry came in the ball game as a pinch hitter in the 4th inning. He struck out, then again struck out in the 6th. He is 0 for 2. He takes a fastball for called strike 1. Now the left-hander back to the right-handed batter. A change of pace that's inside, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. At Philadelphia, the San Francisco Giants, who lead the league by 1.5 games, all tied up at the end of 11. There's a strike call to Harry Cheedy. 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's a 3-3 ball game. Marichal still in the game for the Giants. Short now pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies. A 1-2 pitch to Harry. Swung on and fouled back in the screen. So the count will stay at 1-2. And again out in the bullpen for the New York Mets. Vinegar Man Mizell up and throwing. Bottom half of the 8th inning, the score 12-4 in favor of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Curveball just a little low. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. In the second game, it will be Johnny Padres going. He has a 3-3 record. He needs only 4 more strikeouts to reach the 1,000th mark. 2-2 pitch to Cheedy. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Harry goes down swinging for the 3rd time, and that is strikeout number 10. So Sandy Koufax has now struck out 10 or more batters in 35 games in his career. And that's the 4th time he has done it in 1962.
Batting for Moorhead, number 11, Richie Ashburn, number 1.
Now announced as a pinch hitter for Bob Moorhead, Richie Ashburn. So Vinegar Man Mizell will come in the ball game. He takes a called strike, strike 1. Now Colfax back with a sidearm curve that hits the right field. Coming on fast is Frank Howard, and he makes the catch to retire the side. So in the 8th inning, Colfax a quick one, 3 up and 3 down. And the score, at the end of 8 innings of play, the Los Angeles Dodgers 12 runs on 16 hits. They have made 2 errors. The New York Mets, 4 runs on 9 hits. They have made 1 error. Well, looking down here at the Los Angeles Dodgers in their first return engagement here at the Polo Grounds, I guess it's about time to remind you that they'll be back in town, and there will be a specially important added attraction in the next ball game they play here on July 14th. That will be Old Timers Day, and they will reenact the famous dramatic pennant playoff of 1951, and all the people who were in that are invited to make their appearances. There have been 2 who have accepted, the 2 most important men who were involved in that great pennant win for the Dodgers. Bobby Thompson, who hit the home run, and also Ralph Barranca, who was the pitcher, pitching for the Dodgers that the home run was hit off of. So it was a great win for the Giants, a win that was heard around the world. They went on to win the World Championship. Old Timers will play a 2-inning game prior to the regularly scheduled game that afternoon between the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So you can pick up your tickets for this ball game at any of 3 convenient locations right here at the Polo Grounds at the advanced reservation window, downtown in Grand Central Station. That's over on the Vanderbilt Lamp side. And you can also pick them up in Pennsylvania Station in the Long Island waiting room. You can make your reservations at all the Howard clothing stores throughout the area. Now in the ball game, a change in the batteries. Vinegar Ben Mizell on the mound for the Mets. He'll be the 4th pitcher used. And catching in the ball game, Hobie Landreth. Quick check of the scores on the final games. San Francisco, Philadelphia all tied up at the end of 11, 3-3. No final there. In the American League, Cleveland 7, Baltimore nothing, as Ramos pitched a 3-hitter and hit 2 home runs in that ball game for his own cause. And of course, the Yankees 10-1 over Minnesota with the winning pitcher Stafford. The loser was Bonikowski. Blanchard had a home run in that ball game in the 3rd with 1 on. Those are the finals. We'll bring you up to date after the ball game on all the others. Now we're all set to go as Vinegar Ben Mizell gets on the mound. He'll be pitching to Sandy Koufax. First pitch to Koufax, dribble down to 3rd. Up with the ball is Cook. He goes over to first base. Caneel in time for out number 1. So Mizell gets his first man, and the next batter is Maury Wills. Maury taking plenty of time to allow Sandy Koufax time to rest up for the 9th inning. Maury's had himself quite a day here. He has singled 2 times, and he hit an inside-the-park home run his first of the year. He also picked up a stolen base. That was his 24th. 3 hits and 5 times up. He's batting right-handed against Mizell, and the first pitch is fouled away, strike 1. Wills a switch hitter. The big left-hander into the windup, and the 1-strike pitch is a curveball hit down the line, but going foul. And it lands on top of the roof. So it's a long strike, strike 2 on Maury Wills. Bob Miller will oppose Johnny Padres in the second game. In this first game of the doubleheader, Jay Hook was the starter, and he's the pitcher of record. Change of pace, hit down the third base side, but again foul. So the count will stay at 0-2 with 1 man out. It's a 12-4 game. The Dodgers lead. In the last 8 games, which the Dodgers won, Dodger pitchers have allowed only 13 earned runs. Fastball, it's inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. They have really been hot, both in the hitting and pitching departments. 1-2 pitch to Wills. Hit deep to left field. Way back there. Thomas is back in the warning track. He is by the wall, and he watches it go in the stands for a home run. The ball catching on the upper deck. A long home run by Maury Wills. And that's his second home run of the game, his second of the year. Fourth home run in the ball game by the Dodgers, and the Dodger players sitting in the dugout doing nothing. They're giving them the silent treatment. No action at all. Well, it isn't often that Maury Wills hits a home run, and so the Dodgers, having a little bit of fun, gave him the silent treatment. He came in the dugout. No one said a word. No one got up. Finally, they all got up and shook his hand, and a big smile broke out in his face. A home run by Maury Wills. It's 13-4. And the next batter takes low and outside. Andy Carey, ball one. Wills last year had one home run for the year, so you can see he's not used to that treatment. There's a long drive to left, but going foul. So the count now on Andy Carey, 1 ball and 1 strike. In fact, the 2 home runs here today by Wills, topping his major league total in his major league history. He had only 1 home run in his major league career up till today. Slow change of pace outside, ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, as we've said before, anything and everything happens here at the Polo Grounds. High pop-up over towards the first base side, going into the lower box seats. So the count now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. One thing about the Polo Grounds, you never know when the game is over. With the short fences down the line, and of course the long area in center field, just about every type of ball can be hit here. Every type of hit can be picked up. Change of pace, 1 run and miss, strike 3. Andy Carey out in front. And Mizell picks up his first strikeout. That's out number 2. The Mets pitchers have struck out 6 Dodger batters. Bob Moorhead, who worked 5 innings, picking up 4 strikeouts. Dave Hillman had 1. Now Mizell 1. And here is Willy Davis. Willie, a left-handed batter. And the first pitch to him hit sharply through the hole in the right field, a base hit. Well, Willie Davis now with 3 base hits in the ball game, one of them a 2-run home run. He is 3 for 6. And coming in the batter's box, Tommy Davis. Tommy 1 for 3, make it 1 for 4 in the ball game. A right-handed batter. (13-4) Dodgers, top of the 9th inning. First game of 2, and the first pitch to Tommy Davis, outside and low, ball 1. Change of pace, that's down low again, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Obie Landis, the catcher. He has replaced Harry Chitty. Mets have used 3 catchers in the ball game. Sammy Taylor was the starting catcher. And they have used 4 pitchers. Trying to stem the red-hot Los Angeles Dodgers. Curveball that's fouled, sliced into the right field seat for strike 1. 2 balls and 1 strike. A 2-1 pitch is called strike 2. So Mizell with a quick one over at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Tommy Davis. 2 outs at first base, Willie Davis. Willie had a stolen base in the 5th inning. Now the 2-2 pitch is lined in the left field, a base hit. Coming over is Thomas. He cuts it off before it gets to the wall, and holding at second base is Willie Davis. So the Davis boys on at first and second, and the batter coming on is Ron Fairley. 3 hits in this inning off of Mizell. And 19 hits in the ball game by the Dodgers to go along with their 13 runs. Mets have 4 runs on 9 hits. And Ron Fairley, who took a 10-game consecutive game streak into this ball game, now up at bat. He has 3 for 5. Left-handed batter, and he takes high ball. Ron hit his first Major League home run of this season in the 3rd inning. He also has tripled and singled. Mizell back with a curve that drops over. Strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Fairly not counting his 3 for 5 here today, has raised his average from 136 to 320 over the past 10 games. He's hit at an average of 581. The 1-1 pitch to Fairley is high ball 2. Mizell with a record of 1 win and 2 losses, making his 5th appearance for the New York Mets. This is his 9th, including his Pittsburgh game. Fastball, called strike 2, right through at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mizell's record 0-1 for the Mets. The 2-2 pitch to Fairley. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Mizell strikes out 2 men in the 9th inning. But he gave up 1 run on 3 hits. There were no errors in the inning. 2 men were left. And the score at the end of 8 1/2 innings of play. The Los Angeles Dodgers 13, the New York Mets 4. And now a word from Viceroy Cigarettes.
The last of the 9th, the score 3-0. The bases were loaded. Then wouldn't you know, 2 men fanned. They missed by a mile. Then Casey stepped up to the plate with a smile.
Now, Casey smokes filters, but knows it's true that even some filters are rough on you, while other brands in the filter crowd are just like smoking a warmed-over cloud. But Viceroy tastes the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Not too strong.
Not too light. Viceroy's got
The taste that's right.
That's right.
Well, Casey won the game with his longest homer yet. And the manager's daughter said,
Have a cigarette?
today they're a family with a girl and a boy, and it all began with a Viceroy.
That's right.
So Casey wants you to know, and he'll take all bets. If you smoke all 7 filter cigarettes, you'll find some too strong.
Some too light.
But Viceroy's got
The taste that's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Moving now to the bottom half of the 9th inning. And the Mets need 9 to tie. Their first man up will be Joe Christopher. He's the leadoff man in the batting order, followed by Eddie Chacon and Cliff Cook. Sandy Koufax on the mound, and his first pitch to Christopher, called strike at the knees, a fastball. Joe 2 for 4 here today. He has singled his last 2 times up. He has scored a run and batted 1 in. Colfax, working through 8 innings, has struck out 10 men. And the next pitch to Christopher is down low. Ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now the left-hander into the windup, and the pitch is called a strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Joe Christopher. Norm Cherry, the catcher. He replaced John Roseboro in the ball game. And Andy Cherry at third base in place of Jim Gilliam. A 1-2 pitch to the right-handed batter. Curve that stays high. Ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's the first game of a doubleheader here Memorial Day. Now Koufax back to the plate with a 2-2 pitch. Just too low, ball 3. 3 balls and 2 strikes. To 4 game in favor of the Dodgers as Colfax looks for the sign on the full count pitch. And here it is. A fastball line to the middle, a base hit. Joe Christopher rounding at first base holds there, and he has now 3 hits in the ball game. That's hit number 10 off Sandy Koufax. So Christopher leads off here in the 10th inning. Mets needing 9 runs to tie the ball game with a base hit. And the batter is Elio Chacon. Elio, a perfect day today. A walk, a base hit, and a walk. 2 for 2. Elio started the game with a 240 average. Now Christopher at first base leading off, and the pitch to Chacon is a strike call as Chacon watches it go by. Ron Fairley at first base, not holding Christopher on with the big lead. Colfax returns a curveball that's inside and high, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Elio Chacon, who was worried about whether or not he would be accepted back in New York after his fight with Willie Mays, who is recognized as a king here in New York. He was well received. There's a beautiful bunt. Colfax coming over, picks it up. Throws late to first base. Chacon, a base hit. And moving down to second base, Joe Christopher. So Elio Chacon, 3 for 3 now with a perfect punch. And on the throw to first base, Ron Fairley had to jump high to pull it down. Runners at first and second, and the batter is Cliff Cook. So the Mets, as they have done all through the season, still fighting back, never giving up in the ball game. They have been a tough club in the latter innings. Right here, though, it's a tough fight as they need 9 runs to tie. They were only out of 2 ball games on the entire 12-game road trip. First pitch to Cook is taken high, ball 1. No one up in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Sandy Koufax with a 1-0 pitch. Again high, ball 2. Two balls and no strikes. Cliff Cook the batter. Now Koufax into the stretch. He has runners at first and second and no one out. There's a strike call. The fastball right through the heart. So the count now 2 balls and 1. Joe Christopher at second base. Elio Chacon at first. The 2-1 pitch to Cook is hit high in the air. An infield fly. There's the sign. The batter is automatically out. Coming in to make the catch is Fairley, and he does. Out number 1. So 1 man is down now, and the batter is Frank Thomas. Frank walked in the first inning, then was called out on strikes in the third. Grounded out the third in the 5th. His last time up, he needed a base hit to continue his consecutive game hitting streak. He doubles to left field, and he has now hit in 18 consecutive ball games. That's the high for the National League this year. Frank also drove in his 31st run with that base hit. First pitch to him, a big curve that's dug out of the dirt, swung on and missed. Strike 1. Here's the final score. Pittsburgh 3, St. Louis 1. The winning pitcher, Francis, for the Pirates. Washburn was the loser for the Cardinals. Stewart had a home run in that ball game in the first inning with one on. Right here, it's 13-4 Dodgers, and the next pitch to Thomas is down low, ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike. After 8 1/2 innings, Cincinnati and Milwaukee all tied up at 3-3. O'Toole and Pache. Now Sandy Koufax with a 1-1 pitch to Thomas. Fastball right through the heart of the plate. Strike 2, right around the knees. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Colfax had plenty on that one. At the end of 11 innings, San Francisco and Philadelphia all tied up 3-3. Miller now in the ball game for San Francisco. Short pitching for Philadelphia. 1-2 pitch, a curveball popped up in the air in foul territory. Andy Carey moving over. Now makes the catch for out number 2. So after Joe Christopher and Elia Chacon had picked up base hits, put runners at first and second, Sandy Koufax now has picked up Cliff Cook and Frank Thomas for 2 outs. And the batter now is Rod Cannell. Rod came in the ball game as a replacement for Gil Hodges. Gil giving a little rest because of the sore knee. Gil had previously hit his 367th Major League home run. First pitch to Cannell is ball 1. Curveball, it's low. Rod has 0 for 1. He was the 9th strikeout victim of Sandy Koufax. Next pitch to him, a fastball. Through at the knees, strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 men out now. The Mets need 9 to tie. They have runners at first and second. The score 13-4 in favor of the Dodgers. There's a base hit in the center field. Christopher will score from second base. Going to second base and holding there, Elia Chacon. So Rod Cannell picks up his first base hit and drives in a run, and the Mets now have 5 runs to 13 by the Dodgers. And the batter coming in is Jim Hickman. Hit number 12 off Sandy Koufax, but he's been coasting with a big lead all through the ball game ever since the 3rd inning when the Dodgers led it 6-0 at that point. First pitch to Hickman is a called strike. Jim with a double and 4 times up, a right-handed batter. Just missed the bases-loaded home run in the first inning when he hit one on top of the roof foul by about 10 feet. A check and a swing, low, ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Colfax reading the sign from his catcher, Norm Sherry, and the 1-1 pitch to Hickman. Hit sharply by the shortstop into left field. Here comes Chacon around third base. He will score. And holding at second base, Rod Cannell. And now the Mets with 2 runs in, the score 13-6. And Ron Fairley now talking it over with Sandy Koufax on the mound. Still no one throwing in the bullpen for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Mets with 2 runs in and 4 hits here in the bottom half of the 9th inning. And the batter now, Felix Mantilla. And And Koufax into the windup, and the pitch is hit high in the air to left field. Coming on there, Tommy Davis by the line, and he makes the catch. That ends the ball game. So the Los Angeles Dodgers win their first encounter with the New York Mets in the Polo Grounds, and that's the first time they played here since 1957. The final score of the ball game, the Dodgers 13 runs on 19 hits, 2 errors. They left 10 men on. The Mets 6 runs on 13 hits, 1 error. They left 10 on.